Hi, welcome to the Vaguely Anime Podcast, in our anime club for the two Ghost in the Shell movies. I am the one of the hosts, Michael, followed by the second of the hosts, Sage.
The one of the hosts.
This third of the hosts, Kat.
Hi.
The fourth of the hosts, Anthony.
Yo.
And
Don't look at me.
The fifth of the hosts,
Don't look at me.
Colin.
Don't even
Your
look at me.
English is
Dude.
like deteriorating as we go on.
My English has never been at a state that wouldn't be deteriorating in general.
It's like it just gets progressively
It was
worse.
never good. It was built on like sand as the foundation, and like so it's just always.
So if it
going
ever
away.
gets wet, it's just like
The foundation was
Mike-
sand, and
Mike
then he
can
threw in
only
like
read
nani.
what's in Comic Sans.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I know the
Like,
written word is terrifying,
Yeah,
but like, come
I
on.
can only read in Comic Sans.
Which I think is funny because Comic Sans is made for people with dyslexia.
yeah,
Is
this
it really?
really?
Yeah.
Wow.
That's the
Holy
point
shit,
of it.
I had no
If
idea.
you-
Yeah, no.
You used Comic Sans for people with dyslexia.
I actually
Oh.
really liked Comic Sans as a kid, and then
Same.
it was just a joke
Used
that
that all the
it's
time.
Yeah.
awful and terrible. I was like, oh, I guess.
Yeah, I
guess it's
also
not
liked
good.
Comic Sans, and then everybody was just
It's
like,
easy to-
"This is
Comic
the worst
Sans gets a
font
bad
ever."
rap.
It's
And
easy
I was
to
like,
read.
Oh, okay.
Comic Sans gets a bad rap
Sad.
because everybody knows, anybody who's like smart knows that the worst font is Papyrus. The Avatar font.
Oh,
yeah.
not the Last Airbender, like the James Cameron I want to fuck blue people movie.
right.
That one. That font is awful.
I don't know. If you watch anime long enough, you want to fuck blue people.
Anyways.
I guess
Anyways.
that's fair.
Let's talk about not wanting to fuck.
I'm trying to
machines.
think of one blue person.
Yeah, I couldn't think of anything
Yeah.
either.
I can't either. I just said
All
it.
right, I was
Wait,
like,
wait,
if you were like
wait.
blue
Is there
haired, I
anybody?
would've
Has
got
anybody
you.
been blue in
Colin,
an anime?
What about the like
I'm
blue
sure.
slime
Yeah.
girl from Monster?
Did they make a
There we go.
Smurf
Monster
anime?
Musume, the slime girl. She's blue. Yeah, I would fuck her.
I wanna throw up and
all
piss
the
and
people
cry.
in that like I don't know what it's called, but it's essentially that like 1 hour long Daft Punk music video, and they're all blue.
Oh, Interstellar 5555? Yeah.
What about
hell
I'm
yeah.
blue?
Yeah, yeah, because I just remember if there was 3 5s or 4
And on
5s. It's 4
screen, can we
5s.
just like have 5s with question marks?
There is a really hot blue
That's
girl.
a
in
I'm-
this
I'm
show.
On screen,
Also,
Also,
can we
Ayla
just get,
Sakura
like, a
from
bunch of
Star
blue in?
Wars. She's somebody. She can get it.
Oh, she can get it.
Anyway.
She can get
She
it.
Yeah,
can
but
get
he
it.
said
She's not.
anime, so.
That is true. We're talking
There's
about
a
anime.
Star
got
Wars
you.
anime.
There is a Star Wars anime though, but she's not in it.
Oh,
Oh.
dude,
She's not
Visions.
in it. Visions,
Most
so
of those
fucking
were
good.
pretty good. Not
So
all
good,
of them,
dude.
but most of them.
Not all of them, but most of them were fantastic.
Anyway,
Anyways,
Ghost in the
Ghost
Shell.
in the Shell.
Ghost in the
Anthony,
what?
this was
Hey.
your pick.
this was my pick.
If you didn't watch the first 2 movies, well, you fucked up.
Okay.
Yeah.
You failed us.
Please
Whoops.
alienate our audience even more, Michael.
Yeah.
All we do is alienate our
Yeah,
audience.
This is
I
true.
I
It's
want
very
like
true.
a paragraph in the comments of why.
Dude, we've got our second.
Oh, I'm
pick.
so
know.
excited! I
Another one of my
cannot wait
shows.
to hear to read
For
the paragraphs
Spencer Wolf,
about
right?
this
Yeah.
fucking show, this episode. I cannot wait to see what people.
Both
have to
of
say.
my shows got paragraphs. I just like to say, apparently, I bring in the engagement.
I guess so.
I guess apparently everybody
But
agrees
no,
with
no,
me.
no. I mean, yes. So they do agree with you, and that's what it's about. But they're not commenting for you.
No, 100%.
They're
No, no, no.
commenting for us.
No.
So.
you got to understand, like, you just have like the high what is it, hot take shows.
You do have the hot take shows.
Hey, it just means I bring in the engagement. That's fine.
They're
That is
just
true.
very niche. So like those people.
They are.
They're like,
comment.
oh, somebody's
And-
talking
and
about
every
this thing
time
no one's ever
I
heard of.
follow them up with like a nice comment about how like, oh, sorry we didn't disagree with you, but like, hey, you should come back, and no one ever responds. But
No,
like,
absolutely not.
Yeah, but maybe they saw it and they're
Maybe.
like, you know.
Hopefully.
All right.
I do like when we get those
I do too.
comments.
I do
Yeah.
because
Like the one person who commented on the Flip Flappers video was really cool.
Yeah, it
about
was a very
Yeah.
very nice.
Yeah.
Very detailed
explanation.
comment.
Yeah.
I thought
I
they
very
really
much appreciated it.
Yeah, they
Much
expressed
more
their opinion very
articulate than
well.
any of us could
Didn't
ever
change,
be.
Honestly.
didn't change my mind
Yeah.
one wink, but you know,
I do-
I appreciated the comment.
The Spiceful person was a little more argumentative.
Did you buy that
Yeah.
figure?
Yes. I
Nice.
did.
man.
So now I have 2 figures coming.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
I liked that one better, and it was only like $40.
I do.
Well, it's
yeah,
a good
that one's
price.
really nice, and I'm really happy that because since that anime announcement, which I really hope is just a continuation, not a restart, just because why bother going through it again? But
I would
Who
laugh.
knows? I mean, like either way, I'll probably watch it just because I'm interested to see. Like, I mean, if it's a continuation,
Not
I'm
that-
watching.
Hey, look, man.
But, like-
I take that. Like, I'm excited about that one really obscure manga I like got an anime adaptation out of nowhere recently.
Yeah, I have no idea what gave Spice Wolf that push for that too.
Dude, Lucifer and the Biscuit Hammer is a fucking manga that came out in like 2005.
Yeah.
And
Is that the one that you were trying to find online, like
Yeah.
the collection?
I couldn't find the last like 2 issues of it because it was like it was printed once and it was just sold out. So people were selling them for like a couple $100.
Ooh,
course.
rough.
And I couldn't find the last one that I needed. until I found it for like $80, and I was just like, all right, I'm just gonna bite the bullet and buy this.
Better than hundreds of bucks.
Yeah, because I
That's
wanted to complete the set.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was the same kind of thing with like a comic I was trying to get. I was trying to get the 2 Red Robin volumes.
Yeah.
And most people sell, because they're not out of print, most people sell them for like $200-$300. I found both for 80 each, and I was like, fuck it, doing it.
Might as well.
At a certain point, you just do it to complete the set.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, we're here to talk about Ghost in the Shell.
Ghost
So,
in
Anthony,
the Shell,
this was your pick.
dude.
This was my pick.
Scarlett Johansson killed it. I don't know what people were talking about with Scarlett Johansson. She did a really good job.
Give us your.
I can't wait to talk about that movie. But anyway.
Yeah, give us your the synopsis, and
So,
then we'll go around and do the base.
I want to,
non-spoiler
a little bit of background on Ghost in the Shell. Ghost in the Shell is one of like the 5 or so movies that like inspired me to like make movies. I'm a film major. I went to school for film and I work in film now. But
What a
Ghost-
loser.
okay, well, says the second of 3 people that work in film. But okay, but anyway,
I also have a film degree, so if you want to like,
you have
Yeah.
a film degree too?
yeah,
Oh
if
shit,
you
I
wanna,
had no idea.
if you want to up that a little
All right,
bit
never mind.
more.
4 people.
Yeah.
That
We took
I had
classes
no
with
idea. I
Kat.
genuinely
Yeah.
had no idea. you had
Isn't your degree also in arts, just not film?
Yeah, theater.
Yeah.
All right,
Close
do it.
enough.
Close
Yeah.
enough.
We're all losers.
We're all losers.
Yeah.
Yeah, liberal
We
arts
went-
Although
degrees.
we
my
went for the
degree has
degrees that
nothing
made
to
our
do with,
parents
like-
proud.
You're like,
It has nothing to do
look
with
at the
like,
negative
creative.
income
It's
that
just
surrounds this
management.
table. But anyway,
Yo, what do you mean? These tables are so much money
Handcrafted plastic tables.
by somebody from another country.
yeah. But Ghost of the Shell is one of the 5 or so movies that like inspired me. Like after I saw it, I was like, I want to do that. But pretty much, it's about this like kind of cyberpunk world that's like not too far off in the future. I think it's like 2029 or so. And it revolves around this team of like special forces called Section 9, and they're kind of like the anti-terrorism unit of like this city. And the story revolves around this cybernetic human, we'll get into that. But it revolves around this cybernetic person named Motoko Kusanagi, who is the leader of the special ops team at Section 9. And they are trying to find this hacker called the Puppet Master, and that's what the movie's about. And then Ghost in the Shell 2 takes place a couple of years later and focuses on the secondary protagonist of the original Ghost in the Shell, Bato, and his, how he's processing the events of the first movie and this new threat that kind of arises from the ashes of like that old threat the Puppet Master left behind. But yeah, I mean, these movies are incredibly influential to me. Like they're incredibly influential just in the sphere of just art in general. I mean, you can name literally hundreds of things that have been inspired by Ghost in the Shell. Like
Yeah,
literally,
it's usually
even
Ghost in the
fucking
Shell
Blade Runner
and,
itself. Like
Akira. I like the two.
like yeah, but like even like Blade Runner inspired Ghost in the Shell, and then in like a weird roundabout way, Ghost in the Shell inspired Blade Runner 2049 too. So it's like incredibly massively influential. It's one of the best-selling mangas of all time, like one of the most critically acclaimed movies of all time. The second one not so much. The second one I feel like kind of gets a bad rap, but we'll talk about that when we get to it. But yeah, that's pretty much some background on Ghost in the Shell.
All
It's
right.
incredibly.
Colin, you want to
incredibly
start with the
influential.
non-spoiler little?
Yeah, it's
thoughts?
funny you said that. I think I actually enjoyed the second one a bit more.
Really?
I think there was a part of that is because you go through the whole first movie and they really do not give you anything on what is the ghost, what is the shell, and they just use the terms a lot throughout the movie, and you're kind of like, I'm making assumptions of what they're talking about, but I'm not absolutely sure until you get towards the end and you have more concrete information. So by the second one, I'm familiar with these terms and I'm going in there and I'm familiar with the characters, the players. And I really ended up enjoying that one, especially there was a set of scenes where they're meeting a villain, and it was just very confusing and going back and back and back, and I really liked the way it played out. I thought it was really good storytelling, and overall I was just really having fun with these movies, even though I think I spent a good portion of the times very confused. But I think that's what makes a good sci-fi movie good, is they're not spoon-feeding you the information. They are just like, as you're going through, you are picking up what is going on in this world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ghost in the Shell is very reliant on you it's a movie you have to pay attention to. You know, it's like they're not gonna. It's not. There, I don't even think there's a single exposition dump in the entire film.
Oh,
Like, it expects
absolutely
you
not. There wasn't.
to pay attention.
You know, I
that's
noticed.
what I like about it.
I noticed that because I was going through the movie, and you know, sometimes I'm watching a movie and I'll take those like the slower scene where I grab my phone and I do a little something.
Yeah.
I couldn't do that.
It's
with
the
this
Michael
movie.
Caine scene in every Christopher Nolan movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's what it is. Like he's only there for one scene, and he's just like, "This is how the tenant works," and then it's over. And that was Australian. I don't know what I was doing there, but yeah.
It's okay. I
don't know
can't
what
do
the fuck I was
accents
doing
either.
there, but that's pretty much his roles in those movies. But except for the Batman movies, but whatever. Anyway, Mike.
So first movie, I mean, like just general thoughts. It's great. I mean, visually, it is a masterpiece in every word. Visually, at the very least, I do think, my buddy Kieran, who I was watching them with, brought it up to me that I didn't really realize is that one thing that through both movies is, especially with like the Major, it feels like her motivation is never made clear what the hell's going on. Like it feels like she's just kind of being pushed by the story and not any other, like not that she is controlling the story or any way, or even that like it feels like she's constantly being like thrown into it. It just feels like she's there because the story told her to be. Yeah. And nothing really else.
To me, she felt like less of like a player in the game and more of just like the vehicle for the movie.
Yeah, which I feel like is kind of weak. Like, and maybe that's the point. I don't know, but like at least just in a vague story, I did think that was something I realized and was like, that's not the greatest. But overall, I think the first movie is just great, and the second movie, boy, was bad. I did not like the second movie. First of all, to begin with, was immediately being let down from the visual masterpiece that is the first to then 2000 CGI clusterfuck, and you're just like, okay, cool. And also, I swear to God, like 80% of the dialogue in that movie was just people quoting other people. It was not like their own words. There was so many quotes, and it was just like, have your own thoughts for the love of God. Like, I don't know. We can get into it more in the specifics, but I think the second movie is fine, but it is nowhere near as good as the precedent set by the first.
That's the general consensus on the second movie.
Do you feel that based? Do you think your, I guess, judgment of the visuals of the second one is like making you biased against it? If that makes sense.
It definitely didn't help. Literally, I messaged Anthony the first minute into the movie, and I went, not me being immediately disappointed by the CGI. And
But
it was
2002. What do you want from these people?
Yeah.
don't do it CGI.
Look, it's
did
2002.
the
CGI is on the rise. I totally understand why they went with that choice, and I personally, I don't think it looked that bad.
I thought
For
they
the
did,
time,
like,
though,
For
before
the
the
time,
I
time,
don't think it was
that
that
was
bad.
really
Good
that movie
CGI.
fucking ruled.
Like
for
there
the
was
time.
like a couple of things where it was like, okay, this is objectively bad, but it was so limited
Yeah.
in the runtime that like I can forget.
Look, all I'm
No,
saying is that
it
if you're in
distracted me. I thought it was
2002,
very ugly.
if you're in 2002 and you're in the theater in 2002, and you see that parade scene for the first time, your mind's gonna be
all the
fucking blown.
CGI
Your mind's gonna be blown.
in 2 looks significantly better than all the CGI
Can
that
someone
they used
explain
for
to me-
all 3 of the Star Wars prequels.
Was there
Yes,
a
thank you.
purpose
Because there was
for
there
that
was
parade sequence?
No,
There
first of
was,
all, no.
That's okay. So exactly.
No, wait, what? No, I'm talking about the prequel thing. The CGI still holds up today for the prequels.
no,
Yeah,
it doesn't.
I-
Get the fuck out of my
Absolutely.
face.
Watch
100%
Revenge of the
does.
Sith.
Look
It
at Jar
absolutely
Jar
does.
Binks.
Hey,
Look
we're not
at
doing this.
Jar
We're not
Jar
making this a
Binks.
story. We're
Whatever.
not doing this
Fine.
right now.
I said what I said.
We're not doing this
All
right
right,
now.
I said what I
I'm
said.
sorry. I'm so sorry. I started this.
I
No,
agree,
you're
I
okay.
agree with you. But
Anyways,
we're not doing this
no,
right now.
Thank you. Hero.
I do have to say the CGI in that movie was like significantly better than CGI I've seen like the last 5-6 years of anime by far.
Like,
for
think
Better,
about
it's
most
better than
things.
fucking Handshake.
I was just gonna
CGI.
say
Yeah.
that CGI. and
Fucking
No,
Yeah,
there's
yeah,
there's
in
there's
comparison.
CGI
You
that comes
can't
into
compare that
anime
in
modern
terms of
day.
budget.
No, I'm not saying in terms of budget, but you're saying that it was so distracting to look at that it like pulled you out of the movie. But like, Handshakers is a fucking.
But
I've seen-
but,
Out of the
hand,
show
you know,
disaster.
but Handshakers wasn't giving you that much info to like pay attention
Yeah.
to in the first
And
place.
also,
so-
Handshakers also has infinitely less budget than a giant sequel
No,
to
did it-
one of the biggest
well, also,
movies
didn't we look
of
it
all
up?
time.
Didn't they have
Look
like
it
a
up.
fuck ton of money?
We have to-
for
no, we have to look it
Handshakers?
up.
Not in comparison.
Look up
to-
what?
Yeah,
The
look-
budget.
yeah,
So
yeah,
so
yeah.
look up the
Do,
budget of Ghost in the Shell 2, and then see if you can look up the budget for the first season of Handshake.
God, watch
I'm on
be
it right
more.
now.
Watch
Yeah,
it be more money.
could
How
you
much you want to
imagine?
bet?
No,
It's
no way.
Handshakers is absolutely more money.
was actually an
I think so.
independent project.
Also,
So it could
we have to
be-
adjust for inflation too, because
That's also
like
true.
that movie was made over.
Anyway,
I think,
while
once
Cohen's-
in
while
two years.
Cohen's
Mike,
looking that up,
you
we
should
should-
finish your
Are we?
general,
We're
unless
talking
already
Ghost in the Shell 2 budget,
Yes.
right?
So the
Yeah.
Shell's budget.
Did you finish your
Oh,
general?
I
Oh,
just
sorry,
want to
cut you
say,
off.
Ghost in the Shell. Oh no, I'm sorry. This is the live action. Had 110 million.
Yeah.
Okay,
Oh
while-
my
while-
God.
Yeah, while Cohen's looking that up,
Yeah.
that was mostly just my thoughts. I really like the first one visually. I do think that story-wise, there are some hiccups, like Major not having much of a motivation for anything. And the second one is fine. It's just the first one, in comparison, makes the second one not as good
That's fair.
in my brain. Sage.
Okay. For the first one, I kind of disagree with Mike on like the Major not having that much motivation, because I think when they
Motivation
first,
might have
I
been the wrong
can't
word.
wait to talk about
Motivation might have been the
That's
wrong
all I'm
word.
saying.
okay, because I feel
can't
like in
wait.
the beginning, like it does feel very like this is my job and this is what I do, and then when you get to the Puppet Master, she has this like sprinkle of being intrigued, and then she gets kind of like more obsessed with it.
See, I
And
have,
then-
have thoughts once we get to the spoilers about that
yeah,
whole thing.
and,
Yep.
and I think she does have motivation, and like she's actively telling people, no, nobody else do this because I want to be the first one. You know what I mean? Like
But why?
because
Why does she want?
She spends.
she
no,
has
we're not
the-
going
Yeah,
into
yeah,
this
we're
now.
not going
should
into
wait
it
for
now,
spoilers.
but yeah, I'm sorry. I think the first one I very much enjoyed it. There was something that was like, the only thing I think I actually like the second one better, only because I think the second one, the characters are written a little bit more tightly, and I think the first one is just a hair slower in pace, where they could have let go of like maybe a scene, if that makes sense. You know, when like it's just like a little bit too dragged out.
Mhm.
It doesn't feel like it's pointless, but it doesn't like it just fills the space a little too much.
Mhm.
Where it could have been tighter if they just like cut back a ton, like hair amounts. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
just thin paper, shave it off kind of thing.
Okay.
But yeah.
Sure.
And for the second one, my only complaint is I think we didn't get enough of Bato's new partner, whose name I can never remember.
Togusa.
Yes, thank you. I just wanted
What
more.
was the Major's old partner, right?
No, Batu's
No.
new
His
partner is
partner.
Togusa.
He was
it
on
was,
the
it was
team.
the cop she brought up.
She brought him up on the team, but
Yeah.
it wasn't her
But
partner.
it
Right,
wasn't
her
her.
partner
Bato
was
was her
Bato.
partner.
Right.
Bato was the partner.
Um,
But it was her, the guy that she recommended.
Right.
Yes.
Also, real
Because
quick,
they needed a human perspective.
Right.
the second movie had a $20 million budget, and I cannot find the budget for Handshakers.
Yeah,
Right.
I would,
Yeah,
I
no.
would be surprised. If
It
Not-
was
not
produced by.
surprising.
It was produced by. I believe it was called the Handshakers.
Project.
Project.
I think
Handshakers was absolutely a
It was
fucking tax
self-funded.
write-off, and you can quote me on that.
It
It was a
yeah.
tax write-off.
It was-
Somebody
it was
got
money
in real
laundering.
bad
It
with
was
the
money
Japanese
laundering.
government, and
No,
was
someone
like,
got in
"We'll
bad
make
with
you
the
an
Yakuza."
anime if you shut the fuck up
But
and
I
don't
would
bring
also,
me up
I
on
would
fraud."
also say that even if Handshakers had more of a budget, which it 100% did not if it had $20 million.
Yeah, $20
There's
million.
no
No.
way it had more of a budget. But
Also, that's
even-
got to be adjusted for inflation too, so it's
Yeah,
probably
but
closer to
even-
like 35.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
even if it did, I feel like it's not on the same
from
level. Like
2004,
20,000 or 20 million back then would have been like an absurd amount to spend on a project.
Yeah, I
Whereas
guess, yeah,
today
that's probably
it's
right.
like but I don't think it had more than $20 million.
Yeah,
for
probably
Handshakers.
not. Yeah,
There's
Handshakers
no
probably
fucking
way less.
way.
I couldn't imagine it had more than $1 million.
As soon,
Yeah.
as soon as you said 20
Yeah.
million, I
and
was
that's like
yeah.
a whole
Yeah,
ass production.
But even
It's
if
just
it
that
did,
shit.
that would be varying in scale from back then. So like spending that much money would have been way more insane than it would have been today. But
Yeah,
there's no
that's fair.
way.
Right.
Anyway,
That's fair.
But yeah, I just was hoping we would get more of his perspective, especially because you have the whole scene of them in like the car in the first movie of her being like, it's important to have you on this task force because almost all of you is human.
Yeah,
And it's like that element of surprise.
which I love. Like,
You know,
that is
like
such
yeah,
a good
absolutely.
But it
fucking line.
makes so much sense, you know?
Yeah.
Like if everyone is a robot and you're all like, I guess, programmed to be very logistical and think in like super clean cut ways.
But that's the thing.
You
It's
know-
just that that's the main
The
question of Ghost in the Shell
yeah.
is what does it mean to be human?
Right.
It's like
Yeah,
Right.
that was a
And
really
That's
so
like the
I was
core
thinking
concept.
in the second one, since it's like almost all of, you know, so heavily focused on just the two of them, I was thinking we were going to get more impactful moments with him. And that was like the one thing that kind of let me down about it because it's mainly like Bato's movie, which is fine. I really like him as the protagonist.
Yeah.
but I thought they kind of missed that opportunity.
I do
I
have
get
to.
that.
I don't know if this is like spoiler territory, but I do know that like going through the movie, there was, he's like, yeah, I got this wife and kid at home, and you're thinking about that guy from the first movie who's like,
Right.
yeah, I'm going to get my wife and kid, and you're like,
Yeah, and Bato
Is
even
it
says
fake?
that.
is there a wife and
Yeah,
kid at home?
Bato even says that. He's like, are you the man that has the wife and kid, or are you
Yeah.
like a lonely bachelor that only has a dog as
Yeah.
for company?
When he brought that up and it goes back to the first movie, it's like, oh wow, that's something to think about, because you do see he can have his mind hacked.
Right,
He's the most human of the bunch, but he can still have
Still
his
got a
mind
cyber
hacked.
brain,
He
though.
still has a cyber brain.
right.
Yeah.
All right, that was it for my general.
My general's short because I didn't really like these. And I literally said, because we couldn't figure out a day to record, and I was like, you guys could just record without me because I don't think I'm going to be speaking much, like, anyways. This just isn't very my type of thing to watch. So I was kind of bored, but I do agree with Sage and Colin that I actually did like the second one more than the first one. Same as what Sage was saying, like the first one's pacing was like a little bit weird. I felt like it felt like nothing happened, but like lots of things happened at the same time. Like I definitely thought the pacing was weird, and like Sage said, like it could definitely do with some trimmings of certain things to add other aspects into it. Because I thought that's where it was lacking, but I did kind of like the second one better. Just in general. And I'll wait
I
till
find that
spoilers.
so interesting that you guys think the second one's better. I find that like incredibly fascinating.
There's
Not
an
that there's
aspect-
anything wrong with it.
Yeah,
Right.
no, there's an aspect to it of like I did
No,
like
you
the
guys are
Major
wrong.
as a main character probably better. I think she was like there was a lot more interesting about her in this world,
There-
but I
yeah.
think just the story, the way the story was following Bato
Yeah.
was it just worked. And again,
I like
also I
Bato
had
better
the
than the
in-
Major.
I think
I had the information of what the fuck is going on.
That's
Right,
a
right,
good
right.
And
point
that
too.
helps.
I
Yeah.
was very confused in the first one, and then I like understood in the
I
second.
think-
It
I
might-
think
it
with
might
the
have
Major
helped me
one-
that this
I think
was
a
the
rewatch
second
of the
time I
first.
have watched Ghost in the Shell, which might have helped me. But
maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, I looked back at my first review of Ghost in the Shell when I first watched it, like afterwards, to see what my thoughts were, and I pretty much agreed with myself. So I guess it was.
I don't know. I also feel like, because when you watched Ghost in the Shell, did you also watch the sequel the first time?
No, this is the
'Cause-
first time I watched the sequel.
Oh, okay. Because I was gonna say, like, I feel like there's also, I guess it's different when you watch
Bless
like
you.
Bless you.
something like this back to back. You know, like first movie immediately into the second movie, opposed to like, okay, now that you've watched the first movie, you've soaked it in, and now you wait. You know, what was it, like 5
yeah,
years
this
between?
is a wait. This is a
you
wait
know,
type thing.
You
Yeah.
know what I
Yeah.
mean?
For sure.
And then the second one comes out, and you're thinking about the impact that is the first movie, and then the second one comes out, and it's like there's obvious differences between them.
And there's also like you can't top one of the greatest animes ever made.
Right.
You know what I mean? Not that you can't, but like
Yeah, you can't
it's
top Dragon Ball.
Like there is an like an exceptional amount of like reverence behind Ghost in the Shell.
Right.
So like when you announce a sequel, it's like, oh no, like how are they gonna top it? You know what I mean? Like
Ye-
there's an expectation
You
going
know what
into
I
it.
think it is as well.
What?
And this is like it could be purely like from my own perspective, but I think in the first one, I think they had a lot more interesting and unique frames, and the way that everything looked, I think, was much more impactful to the story.
Oh, the cinematography of the first one was
Is-
streets ahead of the
Also,
second
the
one.
Oh,
amount
yeah,
of-
I
the
can-
amount
I
of
can see what
detail
you're saying
that-
with that.
the amount of
Absolutely.
detail that they
Right,
put into the
where-
stuff, like where you see
so
like
I
the
can
fingers
s-
break apart and all
Yeah.
that shit. Like,
Like-
these
Oh, I
are
love
incredible.
that.
I
Yeah.
can see how, in that regard, because it's so elevated, especially for anime at that time,
Oh yeah.
and then you go into this second one where it is very CG heavy, and it kind of loses that kind of super high quality art aspect
Yeah.
of it, where people could feel that kind of like drop off.
Yeah, and the thing with that is too, it's like the art direction of the first one is like is immaculate. I mean, like what I love the most about it is that like that time frame from like 1990 to like 1999 in anime, when like anything revolving around like a mecha or like
Right.
sci-fi shit, you could see all of like the tiny moving parts
Right.
like happen. Like the scene in the beginning where it shows Motoko being built.
right.
Mhm.
Like the detail in that, like it could be like it could be like used in the real world.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like there is a semblance of reality to that type of creation, or like when they're stringing up the puppet master puppet and stuff like that, and you see all like the wires hanging off of her and like the machine that's keeping her alive and stuff like that, and how it kind of looks like a lung and stuff like that. It's like this stuff you could see it being like used in the real world in like the near future or whatever, and that's kind of what I liked about it is like the gritty realness behind realness, like a realism behind it. Whereas with the second one, I feel like again with the use of CGI, it was kind of lost.
Right.
Like how they kind of like gravitated away from that. Now, granted, like CGI
I think
at the time was like the hot new fucking thing, right? But I still feel like there is artistic merit behind the CGI. Like I was saying before with the parade scene,
Right.
I think still looks great. The mansion I thought looked really cool. Really, it was in the beginning. I think when
in that kind of birth scene, how they mirror like the first one.
yeah, and like the birth scene like
It's
is
such a
not as
different-
good.
it's
Do we
such a
want to go to
different
spoilers?
I was gonna say, are
Yeah.
we out of?
Yeah, we
Yeah.
can go to
Okay,
spoilers.
all right,
That's
so-
that's fine.
We're
All right.
But yeah,
We're almost 30
I
minutes in.
want to go off. Go. I want to actually go back to that conversation we were having before about
Sure.
the
Anyway,
about who the better
spoilers
prota-
again.
yeah.
By the way, spoilers. This is
Spoilers.
spoilers from here on out.
how you know how we turn on the light that signifies spoilers. So
Oh, I mean,
Yeah.
you were gonna be
Bless
able to
you.
tell, but like,
Yeah.
But I'd like to. I think that was a really interesting conversation about who we thought was the better protagonist of the movies, because I have my own opinion where I think Motoko is the better protagonist. Because I think with Motoko, it's like she is constantly searching for something. She is
Right.
unaware of what she is or who she is. So she is constantly has that nagging feeling of searching for something. And then one of my absolute favorite scenes of the whole fucking movie is in the beginning where they find the body that was ghost hacked,
Right.
and like she's kind of like looking at it and she sees that it's like she's like kind of the same as it, and then Bato's like, you're way different. Like there's no way you're anything like that.
Right.
Like, and then she kind of has like that like momentary like half relief, half like
Right.
he's kind of wrong. Like throughout that movie, she is consistently searching for something, and when she eventually finds what it is, it's like, you know, very gratifying, I feel. But she is more interesting to me because she like hasn't fully accepted the fact that she could be perceived as not real, right?
Right.
Like she in all aspects of her body is artificial, except for the thing that lives in her head, right?
Right.
Whereas Bato,
Bato.
whereas Bato has fully accepted the fact that he is not real. You know what I mean?
Right.
aren't they cyborgs?
They're not
Well,
human.
Aren't there human
All of
organs
every
in them?
aspect of their body is fake.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
especially the Major is completely switched. over.
completely
The
Yeah,
only
separate.
thing
that,
she has
that was that
is
whole
her
thing
ghost.
on the boat where she's like, our bodies are properties
No,
of
I know,
the state.
I
Yeah.
know, but they said
Which
if-
again, an amazing line.
But,
Yeah,
but,
absolutely.
they said
Absolutely. One
afterwards
of my
that they were
favorite
like,
scenes of the
so
movie.
good,
we'd be left with what isn't, implying that they did have parts of them that aren't cybernetic.
Yeah, I really love.
no,
that
it implies that if you took everything out of them, there would be nothing
No,
left.
because she says, or one of them is like that there are human parts in them.
There's not human though in there.
I didn't.
No.
I'm
I
They
pretty
didn't-
had
sure
it
that
all.
they say
No,
that.
no.
No, in
Some
the
of them do.
second movie,
Some of them do.
In the second one, they talk about giving like cybernetic robots like
No, Mike's right. Because in the
In the
first
first
movie,
one?
in the first one, Batu has like muscles. In the
Bat-
second one, he is also completely cybernetic.
Yes,
but
so,
like I'm pretty sure the Major had like a part of her brain or something.
No,
Don't
no,
they
she had a
talk
cyber
about
brain.
that?
the
No, she had a cyber
Major
brain.
at the point of the first movie had been completely cyborgized. She's completely cybernetic. She's a robot, but she has her ghost.
wouldn't that make her an
She's
android?
She's the ghost in the shell. That's the point of the movie. Was what makes you human. If you were human and you had everything slowly. Are you familiar with the ship of Theseus?
Yes.
Yeah. What makes you human is the general question there. So Bato not two, right? Bato.
Yeah. We're gonna fuck this
Now I'm
up.
gonna fuck it up. I'm gonna fuck it up the whole
We're not
night.
we're not
I'm gonna
talking about
fuck it
the
up, too.
Avatar, the episode of Avatar with the dude that's like
Batu.
yeah.
Batu Ren.
Yeah. That's his
Bato.
name, right? Isn't it Batu?
Bato
or is it Bato
has-
also of the Water Tribe.
Bato.
I don't
Fuck, it's also
Yeah.
Bato.
Yeah.
All right.
Bato had some semblance of humanity left at the point of the first movie, but I guess by the second one he had
Oh
switched
yeah, no,
over.
he's like absolutely completely jaded.
He's
by the second
completely-
movie. He's
yeah.
completely accepted the fact that he's a cyborg. At this
He's
point.
completely a cyborg. he's still just a ghost in a shell. What makes you human? You have that ghost. What makes you different than a robot?
That's the
I
central
understand
question.
the point of that.
No, I know. I'm
understand-
not trying to
okay.
explain. Do you understand?
I was like, I understand that
You
was the
understand the
point of the
basic
question.
theme
You
of this
understand basic
movie.
themes? No, but like, yeah, that was what was going on. She's not any amount of human, but she was a human. Is she still human?
No, I totally thought that at some point they were like she had like small amounts of like what was still her.
No,
in
she
her.
No.
she is 100
I
billion
think
percent
what
artificial.
would still make like the small amount that's left would be like the ghost, and that the ghost is
No, no, like
essentially
actual
No, but her
physical
ghost
things,
is
I
fake
thought.
too.
Yeah.
Her ghost is completely. She is 100% fake.
Wait,
Nothing
was that-
about her
was
is
that-
real.
Was that a reveal during the movie? I didn't get that.
Yeah,
no,
I
no,
didn't get
she's
that
no,
either.
she's not human.
I thought she was at a point human.
Fake memories.
Yeah.
No,
No,
wait, when did they
Oh,
ever
they gave her the fake
when
No,
did-
because
No, no,
they
I thought
specifically
I
dropped
thought
I
that
think
her
they did,
first
right?
her first body was her. I thought like her, and then he implants her into the child. I thought that was then like no, now you're fucking fake.
No, when
No,
when
but that was
whole
still a
thing-
body, though.
when
Right,
that
right, but I
whole
mean like I
thing
thought that was a
happens-
data copy.
No, but her first body is also completely fake.
Right, because when they
You
converge,
see it in the beginning of the movie.
Yeah.
no,
she's-
I
you
know,
see
but I
her
thought that
being
was
made,
like
and then when she like at the end when she's a kid and she has that like smirk on her face, right? It's like when the puppet master is explaining like I am a sentient being, but I'm not an AI, and I know I'm not a human, like what you would consider.
Yeah, he knows he's
Yeah.
real,
Right?
but he knows he's
So-
fake. It's,
exactly.
it's, a,
I love
it's a
that.
paradigm.
It's that
I love that.
paradigm, and then she realizes
paradox.
yes. It's that thing of like she realizes I am also that, and then they merge, and then they're the little kid.
Yeah, and then they
Yeah.
become a super
They
being.
become the
Like,
super being.
yeah.
They become able
They
to
control the internet.
They create they
Yeah.
create more of themselves, but like different. So it's like, okay, now we have these new non-human entities that are as human as you or me, but not actually.
Right.
And
I feel like the
I-
story did not get at least because I was talking to Kieran about this too, and I was like, and neither of us feel like the story at any point made it make sense that she chooses to go with the AI.
I disagree.
I disagree.
I also-
I
I
think
don't
the
think-
entire movie leads up
There's
to
an
that
entire
decision.
there's an
Absolutely.
entire conversation that they have when they're like fucking broken apart, and she's constantly disagreeing with him, and then they're like, and then the bullet goes off, and it's like, oh nope, she chose yes. To me, it did not feel like they explained why she said yes.
No, throughout the entirety of the movie, she is searching for meaning. She is searching for the one thing that
No,
gives
I
her
get
purpose
that,
on this
but
earth.
it didn't feel like he convinced her.
Yeah, he absolutely
Yeah,
convinces
that's why
her.
she
He
merged
literally
with him.
says that
That's why
this
she
is-
chose to
that
merge.
He literally says, "I am you, you are me." Like we are both alive and not
Thou
alive at the
art
same
I,
time. So
I
we
am
should
thou.
merge.
I didn't. Think
That is what she was
I
looking
didn't
for.
think the argument that he
And
made was compelling enough that
I
it made
think-
sense for
I
her to
think-
say yes.
I think for
when
her
he
character,
says
absolutely.
That what my end goal is for us is to merge, and then create something that is new.
And she didn't like that idea.
she did.
No,
She
she
wanted-
didn't. She was like,
Yeah, she made
I
kids.
want to be me. I don't want to be something else. She said that. She did not agree with that point of view.
But she changed her
In
mind.
like 0 seconds. That's my point.
Yeah,
Because
well,
the
they think
puppet master
faster than us,
explains
Mike.
what-
They
my
think
point
faster than
is that
us.
it didn't do it in a way that made sense.
Okay,
To-
but for
at least
you
to
as a
me.
person, that might not make sense to you. But for Kusanagi as a character, it made sense.
But I don't think they made a point for it to make sense to the human.
I
I
don't
mean,
know.
I,
I
But
felt
I
like
it
see
did.
what
It
Mike
actually
is
did.
saying.
Like-
It was such a short conversation. Like, I understand what Mike is saying. I think it did make sense for her character, like, to do that. But at the same time, I understand what he's saying about that because she was disagreeing with him, and it was just like a quick change where she was just like, all right, like, yeah, I will, kind of thing. So I know what Mike is saying, and like I do agree with that like he wasn't that convincing until like right before, and like that was enough. Like I think it would have been a better conversation if it was more on the edge of being like 50-50 of her agreeing and disagreeing, where it seemed more she was disagreeing at first.
Right, and I would agree with that if there weren't so many like little hints dropped throughout the movie that she was looking for that the entire
I
time.
was gonna say, yeah, I think it's
it
more
just
the
didn't feel like
build up.
that was what she was looking for to me. That didn't feel like that was the answer to her question.
She was looking for an answer to her existence, and the puppet master gave her one.
Yeah, because the whole time, like throughout it, like you see her questioning, like what makes someone human, what makes a human that sees a cyborg see them as other, even though, like, let's say physically, and the way I talk to you and interact with you would be essentially identical, no
Right.
differences, right?
Mhm.
You know, and like her just wondering like what is that fine line. And I think by the end of it, she realizes like, okay, I'm not human, but I still exist. I'm still like,
Yeah, she's still a part of the fabric
I
of reality.
understand that
like,
she like because I
But I-
get that. I didn't miss the whole like searching.
No, I'm
for
not
her
saying
answers,
I'm not saying
but,
that you're
like,
stupid
no,
or that
but
you
like,
missed
that's
it.
why she
but
murders.
no, but what I'm saying
because
is
she realized she
that
doesn't
she's
need that
looking
physical.
for the answers, and then when he's bringing up the points, she disagrees with him on every point he makes, which is why I don't get why she says yes, because she's looking for that answer, and the writing makes it seem like he didn't give her the answer she wanted, and then all of a sudden she agreed. That's my point.
This could also be like a case of like shitty translation too. I think.
Do you think so?
maybe.
This could also be
Did,
that.
did everybody watch it in English?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah,
watched it
yeah.
in English.
I watched it in English.
Okay.
I mean, maybe, but my point is based on what I watched. It with her constantly disagreeing, it didn't feel like he gave her any of the answers she was looking for.
I think
But I agree she was looking for answers. I just didn't think that the way they wrote it, that he gave her any that she
you
wanted.
know, I don't know. It was, to me, it was more like this is who I am. This is what I am. This is how we continue this on. I am this cyborg. I am this ghost. And with this guy, I can create more ghosts, and we can be our own people.
Why
Right,
don't we
but
just
the
watch
story
the?
didn't
Why don't we
tell
just
me
watch
that.
the scene?
Why would tell you?
Because I'm
Show,
my
don't
point is
tell.
that- it didn't show it either. My point is that it didn't get that point across. That
I
she
felt it
then
did.
made that connection. But
Her making the decision was the decision.
but it didn't feel like she had a reason to make it. Is my argument.
She had been feeling that she's not actually a real person. She had been feeling that this is who she is. If she thinks that she,
I get what you're
if
saying,
she,
Mike.
no,
Thank you.
I get.
'Cause we're
I'm
going in
trying to.
circles
I
now.
know. No, I'm trying to explain my viewing of this. Is she thinks she's not a real person anymore. She's had her artificial memories. She's not real, but she feels real. She knows she's real. She knows she's a person. She has emotions. She has feelings. She has wants and needs. This is that. Now she's going to be the best version of that, and she can go
But
create
that's
more.
not Mike's point. Mike's point is that the puppet master didn't like convince her. Like what he
Two
was saying,
chains.
yeah,
Right.
like
Two-
what
two
he was
chains.
saying is the problem. Like yes, if
Yeah.
like in the movie you see that, you see her thinking about it, all of that. Like there's hints to it, and I see why she does accept. Like I understand that, but like as what Mike's saying is the puppet master didn't do a good job of convincing her if that's what the movie was trying to go
I guess
for.
it was more of one of those things of she was looking for it, so then he's kind of like, and she's
Yeah.
like, all right, well, this is the
Yeah.
option, this is the avenue.
But then like that's my point is that it doesn't feel earned. It doesn't feel like it earned it because then she gets shot. They both get shot, right?
You know,
and then
yeah.
and then you're like, all right, and then it's just like, oh no, she said yes.
It's a valid take, but like I didn't feel that way watching it. I felt like it felt natural for the Major to take this course of action.
I don't know. I mean, like, that's how you feel. That's how I feel. I guess that's just
Yeah,
how it is. But I'm hoping that gets articulated across to like why I don't think that, because otherwise the one fan that we'll have is going to be yelling at me about something like that makes no sense. And I'm like, I tried.
I want to take a second. I want to talk about the second movie for a minute.
Okay.
If we can jump to that for the scene where we are. He wasn't the puppet master, right? He was the
No.
doll. What was he called? The doll maker or something?
What,
guy in the
the
wheelchair?
guy in the mansion?
Yeah, the
I
doll
don't think
guy.
they gave him
I
like
don't think
a
they
They didn't
gave
really
him a
give him a
name
name,
like
did they?
that?
No.
I
he-
think it was the doll maker.
it was like doll. It was he was
Something
a
like
doll.
that.
Wheelchair dude.
Wheelchair. Who's like he's like dolls are the closest humans can get to God.
Yeah, because he is a person that is in a fully robotic body, right?
Yes.
right.
And he had made himself very doll like. His mouth doesn't move; it just does the open and then it talks. And
Right.
it was very creepy. I don't like dolls, but I really liked that scene. And in the moment where he has hacked their brains and we're going through these different iterations of them coming up to him and talking to him, and then it stops and it starts again. And then you come up to the doll maker and suddenly he looks like the human guy and he's like, does this bother you that I am you? And it's like, what the fuck? And then it comes back
Alright,
and he
I'm
looked
watching
like
this. All right,
I
I'm
will
sorry.
say that I do
we'll
think
talk
the
about it
CGI
after.
helped in that specific circumstance because then it made it feel more not real. In,
Yeah,
like,
it was-
in the
it
way
was-
that
makes
helped.
it
Yeah,
feel
I
like
understand what
static.
you're saying.
Right.
Yeah.
Like in that regard that I think like 'cause I still think it looks bad, but it helps the story that like now it feels like it's like things are wrong and things are off.
I also just really quickly want to say I love the fact when they come in and like, he's dead, and Bato was just like, nah, he's fucking playing possum. He kicks me like, stop playing possum, and he's just like, fine, I'm alive.
Okay.
What's up? How's it going?
So
Ask me these riddle 3.
throughout the whole thing where they're talking about like dolls and humans and all this bullshit, and that doctor's like, why do kids play with dolls? It's because they're actually raising them. And I'm like, fuck you, lady, shut up, right? And they keep talking about dolls and all this
No,
stuff.
that scene is
And
the
then-
best scene in the fucking
and
movie.
No,
then-
I liked it.
I
was
also-
like,
I
what
also
do we
Where they're
like about
talking to the
dolls?
woman in the cryo chamber is the
Right.
best scene in the movie.
I also like that scene. But anyway, so they're talking about dolls this whole movie. I also don't like dolls, right?
Yeah.
And then at the end of the movie, and this like fucking kid comes out of the house, and he's like, "Here's your present." It's a fucking doll with like the scariest, most "I'm going to fucking eat your soul" eyes I've ever seen. I was like, "Why would you give this to your child? Do you hate your
It's
kid?"
so bad taste for what you've just gone
Yeah.
through. It's
I
like, how
know,
you
right?
have to
I
I
look at
kind of
this
see it
vibe.
as like when going back to like the doctor when she's like when the doll maker when he's like wait, was it the doctor or the doll maker that said the whole speech about how we
I think
we
it's
see
the
dolls
doctor.
then there were copies of ourselves?
I think it's the doctor.
No,
It's
that
the
was
doctor,
doll
right?
maker, I think.
No, the doll maker does the copy one, but the doctor talks about how like dolls are essentially like an extension of humans.
Yeah, and
Does
she
that make
says
sense?
that he's
Right, yeah, I
raising
kind of
them
see
and
that as
whatnot.
like
Yeah, that's the
Togusa
doctor.
gave the kid the doll, right? That was
Right,
yeah, I
his
kind of see
daughter.
that as
He-
like him getting over the hangups and like
No,
You
if
know,
I
like-
had
Here,
a kid,
have,
and I just
have
went
your
through,
existential
if
yourself
I
that
just
you're
went
gonna
through all of
raise.
this existential crisis of being like, what I don't understand, what's
He's giving
human.
his kid an existential crisis. You gotta
I
start
would-
him early.
I would
wanna-
be
I
like-
wanna- wait.
I'll be like, daughter, you can never ask for a doll again. We gotta throw away all your dolls if you even look at a doll in a store window.
I
feel like-
promise
I feel
I'll
like
get
we
you a
should-
puppy for this, but just do not fucking ask for a doll.
Yeah, like
I feel like we should finish talking about the first movie before we move on to the second one
yeah,
because
yeah,
that's a
sorry,
whole
sorry,
nother
yeah.
fucking leaps and bounds thing. Also, I just watched the last scene. Kusanagi does not disagree with him at all during that entire scene.
That's
I literally just watched it. She does not say no or disagree with him at all in that scene. All she does is ask him questions about what the merger would do to them, and then he's like, and then she says one last question, why me? And he's like, because a mirror sees itself in a reflection, and I see myself in you. And then she's like, okay, and then they do it.
so maybe it's a dub thing.
Then maybe it's a dub thing, but she doesn't disagree with him at all. So I still think
Because
it
I'm
lends
fairly
credence.
certain in the dub she disagrees with him.
Yeah, I
didn't
also
feel like she did.
don't
I
remember
got
that. I feel like
Okay, all right. So at least I'm not the only one that thought that.
But
then.
also during like watching this, I also a lot of the time thought I was too stupid for this movie. So like
No, it just didn't
It-
explain
it could
anything.
just
It
be
didn't
that.
It just didn't give you any answers of what the fuck
and
they're
I felt
talking
so
about.
fucking stupid the whole time. I was just like, is it
There
me?
are a lot of
Like,
movies that
I
do
just
that,
can't
though,
do
like-
this.
like super artsy films like The Green Knight, through a lot of that movie, which I also just didn't like, but like you were like it was the masterpiece of cinema, and I was like, that movie sure was okay. And like and like those, I come out of those movies so often, I'm like, I'm just too dumb for them, I guess.
That's just how I felt. Like I was like, I'm definitely too stupid.
No,
for
it's
this.
just what I like about Ghost in the Shell is that it doesn't treat its audience it doesn't treat its audience like idiots.
yeah, it's what Colin
It
said
expects
about-
you to be
Yeah.
a genius.
It doesn't-
and all us
No,
idiots
No, it doesn't
feel
expect you to be
bad.
a genius. It just expects you to pay attention.
It was definitely one of those things where I was like,
Yeah,
I think
Kat, just
I
pay
would
attention
really
harder.
do.
That's not what I'm
I
saying.
think this movie would
don't
really
you put that on my mouth.
be better a second time through, like watching
Oh,
it
yeah.
a second time, because then you have like
Context?
an understanding
Context,
of
yeah.
in context
Yeah.
of what the world is and what the terminology is. But other than that, because like I think it was cool that they didn't tell you. I think it works
agree.
better as a sci-fi movie if you just like you are talking about this as if it is fact of the world.
Yeah,
You
to be
don't
fair,
have to-
that's like the best thing I think about it is that it makes it feel infinitely more lived in, because exposition dumps don't make sense in the context of a world.
No, real people don't talk
right.
like that.
And like it makes sense that they're just like, yes, the ghost, yes, the shell, because like obviously they've been interacting with those terminologies for at least years.
yeah.
And like, so it would be weird for like, and so anytime there's like a movie that's like sci-fi or whatever, and they're like, oh yeah, don't you know ghosts are like what we consider our soul? It's like walking up to you and being like,
Don't
yeah,
you know cars are what we use to get around?
Right.
Are you still looking at that horse over there?
If they wanted to do it, they could have had a new person and explained it to them, not them just talking to each
Right,
other
no,
and
yeah.
then
But, like,
bringing it
the
up.
new- but even still, like when they do that, unless it's like the specific thing where it's like the new person's brought into like a secret society, so thus none of that would have been known to
Yeah,
them.
I guess it's true.
Like, if it's just general sci-fi, the dude's been living in the world for the
Yeah.
last 20,
I think
30 years.
That's
He
fair
should
because the
know.
people like in
the thing is, there's better ways to do
the garbage
exposition
men
dumps.
knew
Like
too.
there's
So like I
Right.
guess that's fair.
yeah, because there's like times where you have things, and it's like, oh, here's we're zooming in on a TV program that's talking about the history of XYZ, and it just gives you a couple of terminology things off the bat, and then it goes into
exposition
the movie.
is always
And
for the
it's-
audience.
And
And like,
a
I get
little
it.
bit of
1,000,000%.
exposition for something like this, I don't think is bad. I think it would have probably helped this for first-time viewers. But it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, artistically, this was the way to go.
Artistically, they went with not giving you exposition because
Yeah.
they just want you to be like, this is a world, and why would anyone question it? It's always been a thing.
This is a world that these people have been living in and have been experiencing. So like you're just a viewer into it.
Yeah.
Like but that's the thing. What I like about Ghost in the Shell is that this movie doesn't have any like world changing like cataclysmic things. Like this is literally just like a week in the life of these fucking people.
I also like that.
Wouldn't you
It's the
say
same
that?
thing with
Wouldn't you say
Blade
the
Runner.
Puppet Master is a world-changing event that
No.
some is
Nah,
No,
that
because it
computers
doesn't.
gain
No,
sentience?
because nobody knows about it.
Yeah.
Nobody
He just
knows about
he
the Puppet
comes in and
Master.
he fucking dips.
It's the same thing with Blade Runner. Like Blade Runner happens over the course of like a few days, and nothing fucking changes.
Can I
At all.
Can
Like-
can I derail this conversation
Yeah, go
about
off.
like story writing and all that jazz?
Sure.
And talk about like visuals for 3 seconds.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Okay, so the scene where she like jumps off the building and her body goes like invisible,
Oh.
and then with the hand.
Oh my
Yeah.
god.
Oh,
Yes.
so
So
fucking
good.
Which
Iconic.
Yeah, that
Plus,
was
I'm
amazing.
here for the bodysuits that you're just naked in for no reason, and you
Yeah,
know,
but
Yeah, just-
also
just
like
random
just some
naked.
titty. Yeah,
Yeah,
you
just
just
some
like
titty.
you
But
wear
then-
your bodysuits for titty to hang out, and then you go fight people and kill
I-
them while you're invisible.
I also really liked when that other guy was invisible when they're fighting
the water?
in the water.
Yeah.
because
That shit was
they,
so good.
They could have
Oh.
so easily left out the shadow and be like he's invisible, but no, he's still a physical, tangible thing. Just because you can't see him doesn't mean his mass disappeared.
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was like, I don't know, something about that small detail.
There's so
they
much
could have
detail
so
in this
easily
movie- in
left
this
it
movie.
out.
I
But
like-
it's so smart. It makes so much sense that the shadow would still exist.
Every time I watch this movie, I notice something new, and I've seen it. This is like the 7th time I've seen.
I
this
mean,
movie.
yeah,
Like,
it's
insane.
it's
Yeah,
the
I'm that,
it's
I'm that
just
way
that
with, It's Always Sunny in
90s.
Philadelphia.
I'm that way with
it's
Arrested
just
Development
just
too.
that 90s anime where like it for whatever reason all of the people back then were huge like mechanism like tech
Yeah,
nerds.
they were like, we want this to
I
make
love that
sense.
shit.
Yeah, like
It's so
they-
good.
just
Like-
the most detailed shit for no
yeah.
This
reason.
movie and Evangelion came out the same year, so this was really like the year for
Right.
existential mecha nerds. Like, you know what I mean?
And just to jump to the second movie for like 3 seconds,
Go off.
when they have the shot of like you're looking through Bato's eyes and it's like zooming in and giving info and stuff, I was like,
Love that.
I really liked how it looked.
Lovely
but
little
then I was
details.
thinking about it, I was like, if I had to deal with that every fucking day, that would be such a pain. in
yeah, a
the
heads-up
ass.
display
Where-
all the time
where
sounds like
I
it'd be a
could
nightmare.
like
And that's
my
what I love about it too. It's like they don't portray being fully cybernetic as like this like
ideal.
like we're perfect.
Right.
Like no, it's like it's fucking hell to live in.
Right.
Like
And
they have
that
to get
scene-
consistently
the scene
medicated.
where
You're
he's
a soldier
in
all the time.
Yeah, you're a
um,
soldier pretty much.
Where he's in
And you
the
don't
like
own your body.
convenience
You don't own
store
your body.
getting the dog food. Just something about like the zooming in as he's like looking at each person, right? Because he's like everyone is suspicious, and it's like so much tension of just like him, like when he zooms in, because you don't see anyone's face. It's like all like 3/4, you know.
Mhm.
I'm like, ugh.
It's just like all these little details that like culminate into like because like you could see like all of these like little things, right? Like they don't outright say like, oh yeah, being a cyborg is awful. Like it's
Right.
it's the things that they experience that you yourself can say like, oh, like what I was saying before, that like only being able to see like that. You don't own your body. You're pretty much a government puppet. You have to get consistently medicated. You have to get consistently maintenance every month. It's like this is like it's an awful existence.
Yeah, like when his arm gets fucked up because he shot it.
Oh, and also you
And
can get
he's-
hacked at any point in your life.
he's like,
Like,
they're like, oh, be careful with the new arm because you got to get used to it, blah blah blah,
Yeah.
right? And he's like, oh, it's okay if something happens, I'll just get it re-maintenance. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
But if you were a human and you shot your arm 5 times, your arm is gone. You don't have an arm anymore. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he's just so like casual about it.
I also really find it kind of like funny, even though it's like an intense moment, that when the Major goes to fucking rip the hatch off the spider tank,
Uh-huh.
and it's just like you're like, yeah, she's a fucking android cyborg, whatever. She's fucking got this, rips her fucking arms off, and you're like, what was your point there? You didn't even achieve your goal.
Oh, I mean, you're gonna die either way. You might as well fucking try.
But,
Yeah,
like you're
yeah.
expecting it to be like, oh, you're a fucking super being with super strength, sure, whatever, and then it fails epically, and you're like, well, all right, like.
But like, but I love that too because like
She
there's so many
didn't know to get the
implications.
enhancements.
There's so
to
many
the
like
tank.
implications throughout the movie of like anything. Like if somebody made the argument that Motoko was suicidal, like you could absolutely make that argument for this movie. Like there's so many things you can talk about and like interpret about this movie that like any interpretation could possibly be correct.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like it's so fucking good, dude. Like I love everything
also,
about this
I
movie.
have a question.
Yeah.
So you know how you have like the garbage guy,
Yes.
and he's going around being like, "Oh, I'm just checking in on my wife, and we're having this nasty divorce, right?"
Yeah.
And
Well-
then he says to his garbage buddy that he's like, "Oh, this is a picture of my wife and my kid."
And the guy doesn't look at it.
The guy doesn't look at it.
Oh, I thought he did look at it.
No,
No, he doesn't
No,
look at it.
he's
Oh,
got his
he-
eyes closed. He's like, no, I don't want to see that.
Yeah, he
shit.
literally just goes, I don't care, just
Okay,
whatever.
because for some reason I thought he looked at it, and then when they like reveal the photo of just like the guy being a fucking bum in his own house, right?
There's a dog, I think.
Right. But it's just like, you know,
Yeah.
like a 1-bedroom tiny ass. Like,
That's like the most sad. It's like the
oh
saddest
my god,
scene
it's
in the
literally
movie.
sad.
It's
so
so
depressing.
upsetting.
But I thought that the garbage truck guy looked at the photo, so I was like, what did he see in the photo?
No, yeah,
No,
you
he,
didn't see
he
it.
had his eyes
Right.
closed and he like refused to look at it. It was also like interesting because he's like, yeah, I'm hacking my ex-wife's brain because she's divorcing me so I can still see my daughter.
Yeah,
And
the guy's like, all right.
Yeah,
guy's
that
like-
guy was weirdly.
The guy was
chill.
like, look, the last guy who worked with me was an illegal immigrant. I just don't care. Just do your fucking job, man. I want to go
was just
home
like, I
at
don't
5
care, just do
o'clock.
your job.
that guy was so over that shit.
Yeah, he was just like, fuck it. Like, you do your job well, I don't give a fuck what you're doing, dude. Like, I want to get out here, be like, get my money and not get yelled at by my boss. Like,
I did really like that scene where it was like, I have a wife and kids. Like, no, you don't.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you don't, buddy.
You've had your
Oh, and
mind
then he like
hacked,
breaks
bud.
down in the middle of the interrogation
my
room. Oh,
God,
it's so
so
upsetting.
sad.
It was a really good scene. It was sad, but it was
Yeah.
it was,
Yeah,
you
that's
know,
well done.
Yeah.
also, this is going to be like a weird thing, but so I had never seen the second movie, right? Until we did this. And I went to go see the live action Ghost in the Shell because I was like, I knew it was going to be bad. Put that right out there right now. There was
Okay.
no way that movie was going to be good. And they had those like the doll mask people in that movie, right?
Yeah.
Where like it breaks apart and whatnot. And like, to be fair, a lot of the effects in that movie did look really good.
They're fantastic.
Yeah, yeah. So like, I was like, oh, I can't wait to like see that in the animation because I was expecting like the first movie's animation.
Yeah.
And then the second movie happens, and I'm like, oh no, CGI. And then that doll character shows up, and like the face kind of like opens, and I was like, oh, this is more underwhelming than I was expecting. 'Cause,
Yeah.
like, especially based on the live action movie where like it was super intricate.
It was.
And
It was practical.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, like I can't wait to. And I was like, oh, that's just CGI.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, well, that's weird to be let down for based on the movie that I was expecting it to be way better.
I found that to talk about the live action for a hot second. I found it weird that like they took. It wasn't just a direct adaptation of the first one. Like they took elements of the first one, the second one, and Standalone Complex, and then kind of made it into like this weird malformed Frankenstein
Standalone Complex
monster.
worth watching.
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Of this weird malformed like Frankenstein's monster of a movie. I don't know. I just
It
found
did
that
have
really
good
weird.
visuals.
It fantastic visuals.
Is
It was
Standalone-
pretty.
So fucking good.
Is Standalone Complex the television series?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Ghost
Yeah.
in the Shell is divided into 3 timelines because of course it is because we can't have anything nice.
No.
I'm sorry. No, 3 timelines. Okay. So there's the first timeline, which is Ghost in the Shell 1 and 2. Then there's the second timeline, which is Ghost in the Shell Standalone Complex and its accompanying OVAs. And then there's the third timeline, which is Ghost in the Shell Arise, which we don't talk about, which is the
Okay.
redheaded stepchild of the Ghost in the Shell franchise.
All right.
It's really bad.
And then
Don't
the
watch
live
it.
action movie.
Shout out to all you
And then the live
redheaded
action movie.
stepchildren.
Oh, so I guess there is 4. There is
Unloved,
4,
apparently.
4
They have no soul, so.
Timelines. That's what you're
timelines.
looking
That's
for?
the one. That's the word I'm looking for.
I got you.
Yeah.
So Standalone Complex is its own timeline.
Standalone Complex is its own timeline.
All right.
Yes.
I have
It
something.
it trades a little bit of that philosophical stuff for action, but it's still like a pretty nice
No,
balance.
that's still fun.
It's still
Yeah.
a good show. It's yeah.
Time for the most important time for me to talk about my experience watching this, and that was getting to watch it. So the second one I rented, right? And I thought I rented it through YouTube. I ended up renting it through Google Play.
Oof.
Is that
Oh.
different than YouTube?
Yes, that is
Apparently-
Google Play and not YouTube.
Apparently,
That's why there's 2 different
I
names.
thought they were.
I was
No.
all excited because I
No.
thought I'm getting these Google Play points that I can then use for my gacha game for free, which is awesome. Always go through there.
I didn't even know that was a thing.
Yeah, they just give you points, and you can just redeem them for money in
Well,
game.
now I'm
for
upset that I've
gacha.
spent hundreds of dollars not
Always-
doing it that way.
Always go through Google Play if you can. It just gives you free money through
I'll
it.
have to see if that's an option.
Yeah,
I feel like Genshin
I'll show you how to
fucking
do it later.
sucks in that way, and I feel like they would not make that an option.
if you have an Android phone and you buy the
I
currency,
don't.
if you buy the currency through like Android, whatever, they
I'm gonna make you.
I'll,
buy it
I'll
for
explain.
me.
I'll show you how to do it later.
Okay.
I think
Have
there's a
him
way for you
sign
to do
in
it.
on your. On
Yeah.
His,
Yeah, no, because then you get free money, and it's really good. So I rented it through that, and it's like, okay, stream to this device, right? This is a stupid tangent, and I'm gonna complain about it. And it's like, okay, I can stream to living room, basement, or bedroom, and I'm like, no, my TV is called Kame House, and it's in my bedroom, and none of those are showing up. Every other streaming thing I go to shows my thing except for Google Play, so I had to go and buy and re-rent it through another thing.
Why didn't you
Oh,
just go to a different room?
It was also on
Wait.
Funimation.
Yeah, so I was in my bedroom already,
Wait,
and I didn't
but
want to go
is it-
downstairs and
but
be like, "Hey,
Google
parents,
Play
you want to
is
watch
linked
this
to
with me?"
YouTube. If you go to YouTube and you
Wouldn't
look
let
at,
me. Wouldn't let me.
It was.
Yeah,
was-
it said "fuck you." Rent it through YouTube,
yeah,
so I had to
they're
get.
separate things.
I had to go
No,
rent
I know
it a
they're
second
separate
time.
This is
and
the
But
second
I
one
just
we're talking
watched
about?
it on one of
What?
those.
This is the second one we're
sites
talking
The
about?
to
second
play.
one, yeah.
It was on Funimation.
you can go to YouTube.
I
go
was
to your
already there.
purchases
All right, that's fair.
and watch it on YouTube.
It was $2.
through that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
$4 because
But
you had to
maybe on
re-rent
rentals
it.
you can't. I don't know how.
I
the
got a
rentals
re.
work.
I requested a refund.
Oh, okay.
I got a refund, so
There you go.
that was fine.
That's
so
good.
it wasn't a big. It was
I
just
just
like
watched it on one
But
of
that
those
is a pain in the
sites,
ass.
It was
so I
it
didn't
was
pay.
30 minutes of my life trying to get it to work on my TV and signing into things and downloading different apps and it just not working. And then me just being like, "Can I just rent it through okay, there we go."
Then you got it sorted.
Yeah, because I rented the first one through YouTube and that worked really well. That was immediate.
The first one you could have watched on Funimation.
I was already
Oh,
there.
I didn't know that.
It was
I
again.
I
It was
didn't know that either.
He made a point of it.
He
No,
did
I
make
couldn't
a
find
the
it.
second one you can watch on Funimation.
Oh,
the first
that's
one.
what
That's
it
why I
was.
read that on
Yeah.
YouTube.
Was it?
I
oh,
also
sorry.
watched. I also watched the second one
Reverse.
after we were supposed to have watched it because I got sick and I was planning on watching it the night before, so I was fresh in my mind. And then I was very sick, and I was like, "Hey, we can't record tomorrow."
Tom was gonna do his homework the night before.
Yeah, I always do my homework the night before.
Yeah, so
it's
it's
fresh
your
in the
mind.
brain.
Yeah.
And then I was like, "Hey, no."
I'm a day of kind of gal.
Yeah, I noticed.
Cat's
Yeah,
like, handing
Cat's
the
literally
homework.
here while we're
Watching
like
one
setting
in
up,
class.
watching it.
I did that with Madoka Magica. To be fair, I watched the last
I
episode.
also
while
watched
you
the
guys
last
were
episode.
there.
I did that
Yeah.
for
We watched it
for
together.
Madoka
We did watch it
Magica,
together.
Yeah.
Because that was when I think I was still doing a lot of jobs, so I just
I
did
think
not
that's
have the
when you were
time.
doing way too much.
Yeah.
You've given me shit for that before, but you did it
Yeah, once.
once.
And I also had 3 jobs at that time.
My man has 3 jobs. He can't make complaints.
I guess technically I still do have 3 jobs, but one of them pays me well.
One pays well, the other are just there.
Well, all right, I'll rephrase. One pays as an
experience.
actual job. The second one pays well. The third one does not. But I just do it because it's extra money, so why
like
not?
funsies.
Yeah. No,
That's
it's not
fair.
no,
really
not
all
For
that
fun,
fun.
just
funsies.
munsies.
Yeah, it's just money.
Munsies.
Munsies.
Now I have like rent and stuff. I need to,
I
you
guess
know,
that's fair.
any extra money is nice.
You don't
Utilities are
Yeah,
expensive.
but with
It's
your
true.
one job, you can afford that. You don't even need the other jobs.
right, but
But
why
it's
wouldn't
nice
I
to
take
have
the extra
more
money?
money.
Because then at that point it
guess
just
so.
pays for like my electric bill and
He
stuff.
makes like significantly more money than
Yeah, I
any of
know.
us. So like he doesn't need another
that's fair.
job.
But it helps.
I guess.
I'm not gonna say no to more money. My mom brought that up all the time. She's like, "Why do you keep doing it?" And I was like, "Because why am I gonna say no to more money?" Like,
because it sucks.
Because time is the most
Right, but, like-
valuable resource you have.
yeah, I have no free weekends, but like, you know, whatever. I get
that
I get
sucks.
$300 every
fucking
time I
rest
work.
When I die, like I don't know what anybody. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but
Yeah.
you're married. He needs a date.
That's not my problem.
Thanks.
Oh
Look,
my
man,
God.
I'll be sad in my own account. All right, I cry myself to sleep alone like every man does.
just buy
Yeah, that's
yourself
what- I
some
think that's
nice
me and Anthony
things,
doing.
and then
Yeah.
what does
Good
it
to
matter?
go.
What does it matter?
yeah.
Can't wait to do it tonight.
Oh,
Me
dude, same.
too.
Get on Discord with you. This will be fun.
Hero.
Yeah.
At
Anyway,
least I
so
have
we
my
have any?
roommate to cuddle.
Oh,
Karen looks cuddly.
Yeah,
he does.
very cuddly man.
Yeah.
Big bear.
Love
Yeah.
that.
Oh, there's no way that picked up.
I hope it did.
That rules.
Can
All right,
put
any,
Tom- put
closing
that
thoughts?
On screen, just like
We still
from
have
the
like an
Yeah,
hour.
distance.
fuck you.
Still 30
Any
minutes.
closing
Yeah.
thoughts on Ghost in the Shell?
The first
Before we
one.
talk about the second one?
Oh, all right. Have we not just been
I was
jumping
gonna
around?
say-
I thought
We've
we
been
were
jumping
we were
around,
just
but-
doing
I
anything.
figured like we probably do the first one first and the second one. So
We've
we don't get
definitely
wires
been
crossed.
Yeah,
talking
we
about the
definitely
second
jumping
one.
around, but
Oh. Sorry.
no, go ahead.
No,
I don't know. I like Ghost in the Shell 1 more than the second.
Why
one.
would you
Just
tell
so
her
you
to
know.
go on?
No,
She
'cause
started
I
talking,
keep
and then
talking.
you just cut her off.
He likes to mansplain.
Yeah.
No, it's okay because I wasn't even. I was gonna say, oh, this isn't even a closing thought for the first one. I was just gonna start talking about the second one, so it's fine.
Okay, then yeah.
You know what? I'm sorry. I don't want to. Let's just fucking.
Yeah,
talk.
yeah,
I'm
like,
sorry.
we've already been going
I'm
through
being annoying. Anyway, let's talk about the second one. So
I like how it's like, let's talk about the second one. We've already been doing that for the last
Yeah.
60
Okay,
minutes.
Yeah.
This is. I know this is just me, but in the second one where they're like outside of that mansion and they're talking, the statue of the giant foot was really bothering me for some reason. It was just such a
Weird.
massive foot. I was like,
that statue was a foot?
it was a foot.
I'm trying to remember.
I
what
don't
the
think
fuck
they
you're talking
noticed it
I'm
was
about.
a
trying to remember the
foot.
statue. I
Okay,
think
it was
a
a
foot.
Did
giant.
not mention
It was a
remember
giant
that.
foot, and then you saw like 3 pieces of like
Yeah, I'm gonna be like
vertebrae,
Ghost in the Shell
and then
2
it went
foot.
into like some weird like other stuff.
Watch it not be a fucking foot.
It
I'm gonna
looks like a
fucking
foot.
scream.
Watch
Okay,
it be
Wow.
literally the furthest thing
Yeah.
from a
it
foot.
looked like a
Hold on,
foot.
I'm looking at it right now.
Yeah. I do.
I remember there being a statue. Don't remember what it was.
The base looks like a foot, and it was really bothering me.
I do want to bring up that while I was watching the second
It
one.
was a fucking foot.
did
dude.
notice-
No,
What?
yeah.
Let me see.
It's a foot.
I'm telling
Oh,
you,
wow.
I'm not here to lie to you that it was a foot.
Shows
I
everyone
didn't
but
even
me. Show me.
realize that at all.
Yeah, I did not realize
Yeah,
that.
that's
I
a
noticed
foot.
it right away because his head is like, okay, here's the like, what's this part called? The heel
arch?
of
The
the
heel?
foot.
Oh.
The ball,
The-
if you will.
The tendon, the
No,
Achilles
the
No,
tendon.
the
heel.
heel and the ball are two different things.
The ball is here and the
Ball-
heel is here.
No, the ball
No, the
is
ball. That's where
front.
pee is stored.
Is the ball the front?
Yeah.
The
Look, the
front
ball's
is
the
the
back.
ball.
Ball's the front.
Heel,
Like
ball.
a high heel,
Pee
is
is
the
stored
back.
in the balls.
the heel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where
that.
you're okay.
If you're
ankle,
sitting on the ball,
heel.
your foot, that's like where
The
when you're on your
tippy toe.
tippy
yeah,
toes.
yeah.
Oh, okay.
Then the heel, obviously the back.
But the reason why it was
Okay.
bothering me so much is because the way that they had the shot framed, it was the heel of the foot, and then it was just the top of his head, like directly underneath it.
Yeah, you don't think that had any symbolic meaning at all?
No,
or-
I know, but it was just bothering me because I just kept thinking of high-heeled shoes, and like he was just supporting the foot. It was just like, look.
I'm looking.
I'm
looking.
looking.
I'm
listening.
waiting. I'm waiting.
I'm
for it.
waiting.
I'm listening and learning.
I'm not learning, and I'm barely listening, but I'm here.
But you're here.
Yeah, Ghost in the Shell,
That's how
Ghost
I
in the
went
Shell
to
2
school.
is an interesting movie for me because I was reading an interview with the director, and he was like, I made Ghost in the Shell 2 because I felt like I wanted to get a lot of personal questions answered, and you can definitely tell that movie is like a lot of like trying to justify things. You know what I mean? Because like he was like, oh yeah, you know, when I was writing this movie. Because it's different writers from the first to the second one. He's like, when I was writing this movie, I used it as an excuse to like kind of talk about like fatherhood and like raising children and the state of the world and a lot of the other like, you know, metaphysical and philosophical shit that
Right.
he talks about that the first movie addresses as well. But like you could like kind of see that like there is a clear difference in the philosophical teachings of the first one and in the second one.
Right.
Because while the first one's all about like, oh yeah, what does it mean to be human like objectively, like as a
Right.
singular being, right?
Right.
And this one, it's like, what does it mean to be human as like a society? Like, what are our origins? Like the whole scene with the doll thing,
Right.
like where she's like, yeah, you know, like children are just dolls that like we mold and shape into like
Right.
reflect our own things, and like
Right.
they also act as a mirror. There's a lot of like imagery with like mirrors and symbolism with like mirrors and Ghost in the Shell.
Yeah, I was gonna say they
Which
do
I
that
really
for this
dig.
first one as well.
Yeah, I mean, like, there's the one scene where she's like floating and then up to
Right.
the top, and there's like, yeah, I mean, beautiful. But, but anyway, yeah, I feel like this movie definitely feels a lot like more personal. It feels like way more smaller scale.
Yeah.
You know, than like the first movie. Whereas like the first movie feels like, you know, like, oh, we're going to like place to place where there's big action sequences
Oh,
and blah blah blah.
absolutely.
Whereas like Ghost in the Shell really only has like one giant action sequence,
Right.
or two really, but two really like giant action sequences, and the rest is just like Bato and Togusa just kind of like having like a True Detective-esque like talk in the car about like, hey, what that lady said was kind of fucking crazy, right? About how she was like,
That
where
lady
she
was kind
like,
of a wacko
she was
back
kind of like
there.
talking about like dolls and kids and shit, and like what? And then Batu's like, yeah, I'm not real. As John Paul Sartre said, hell is other people, and I'm like, what the fuck is going on, dude? Like.
Bato's
So-
just like, I gotta
Bato's
go
just
drink
like,
my beer and feed my dog.
I have a dog, and that's the only thing I care about in this world.
Honestly,
yeah.
My eyes are the coolest thing you've ever seen.
Yeah.
Final conclusion: Ghost in the Shell 2 infinitely better than 1, only because there's the dog.
Oh my god, that dog was
Good
so
dog.
Oh my god, that dog was very
love
well.
Such
that.
a-
Also
I
very well
also love
animated.
that-
Like,
Oh, yeah,
like
yeah,
the
yeah.
I guess it's like their no, not the boss, but one of the I guess like coworkers to Bato, who was like. He's like, what am I supposed to do with my dog if I go on this trip? And he's like, not my problem. It's your dog. Figure
fuck
it out.
you. Yeah.
He was like,
Now the dog's a problem.
Yeah, he literally was like, you got the most annoying breed that needs the most attention.
Yeah.
that needs the most
Yeah.
specific. He was like, you did it to yourself, dude.
Yeah, dude, come on.
But can we did I think you said you agreed. I don't remember, but like, did anyone else feel like that most of the fucking second movie was just quotes?
I was actually going to
Yes.
address that because I feel like this movie is
So many
more
quotes.
like you could make the argument that Ghost in the Shell 2 is like more of a video essay than it is like a movie. You know what I mean?
I guess I could agree
Because
with
think
that.
about how you write an essay, right? Like it's a bunch of like it's a bunch of quotes that you have to explain with like citations, right?
Citations. I was just.
That's what this fucking movie is.
And
like,
they have the
Togus
citations.
Togus was
Yeah.
quoting fucking Nietzsche, and Bato's quoting fucking Immanuel
Descartes.
Kant.
Yeah.
And like everybody's quoting everybody and shit like that. And then they're explaining what they mean by the quote. And I'm just like, dude, this is like literally like freshman year philosophy at
Wait,
Ramapo
hold
College.
on.
Like, get the fuck out of here.
All of the quoting
Please.
and
I gotta
the
beat
edit
that.
that
Yeah,
out.
beat that,
and,
please.
and the explaining of the quotes, like as I was watching, I was like, this is a terrible comparison to make. But all I can think about is that wannabe idol from Handshakers.
It just
As
As
As-
fucking what's his name? What's his name?
as William Shakespeare once said, "I'm gonna fuck this bitch that's not my wife."
It's
Oh my
just,
God.
it was
gonna shit my
non-stop quotes,
pants.
dude. And it was just like, just have your own thoughts.
As
for the love
Winston
of
Churchill
God.
once
Like,
said, "I'm gonna shit that man's pants."
I get why it's written that way. Because like I said, this was more of like a way more personal project for Mamoru Oshii when he was doing
Right.
this. I think that's the director's name. I could be totally wrong. But this is a way more personal project for the director. And this was kind of him just like, look, I'm in a really bad place in my life. And I'm going to make this movie to kind of like work some shit out.
And if we've proved anything,
So,
being in a bad
like-
place in your life makes really bad shit, Anthony.
What?
Mamoru
What?
Oshii
For
is
Evangelion,
is
that was
the
the-
director.
Oh, I was
I
like,
thought you
what
were
are
talking about
talking
Super
about?
Milkshake,
talking
and I
about?
was like, "What's
I was
wrong
like,
with
no,
you?"
That's so mean. What
Yeah,
the
I was
fuck?
like, what?
Like,
He's talking about it for Ava because it's your favorite thing, and he was in a shitty place when he made it.
was he?
Yeah,
I
he
guess
made it
so.
when he was absurdly depressed.
Oh yeah, well, I guess that tracks. I guess
I
yeah.
was
You
gonna
don't know
say, did
that?
you not
No.
see the ending of Ava?
That was like
I saw the ending of
That's like
Ava.
one of the biggest things is that he was absurdly depressed when he made it.
Sure. Yeah, it makes sense.
All right,
Uh-huh.
well now it feels like I understand why you thought I was attacking you. But
Oh
like,
yeah.
By the way, I just while I was looking up the director, I noticed that the budget for the second movie was $20 million, and the box office was $9.8 million.
You hate to say
Oh.
yeah,
You hate
all
to
right,
say it.
Sure.
Ripperoni.
Wow.
it. Wait, no, but is that USA only or worldwide?
Did they do?
It just says
worldwide
box
at that point?
office.
Oh.
It's not
So
giving
that's
me a
probably
worldwide.
everything.
I
yeah,
can
say it.
I can
think.
look
Hate to say
deeper.
it.
But
Yeah.
also, like, think about like worldwide releases for an anime movie in 2002.
Yeah, that's
We're
not
getting
that's
many.
not getting anything.
We're
It's
not
all
getting
in
many.
Japan.
Besides like
Yeah.
Studio Ghibli, that's really it.
They barely even got anything. Studio Ghibli got like all their stuff on like Toonami runs.
Yeah,
That's
was
how I
that
watched
like?
it.
Did
That's
they
how
ever
we all
go to the
watched
movie
it.
They,
That's how I
theater?
watched it.
they made their money in like Japan domestic, but
And
they
then
did not
Disney-
make
and then
their
Disney
money
bought the
worldwide.
American streaming
It was before people in the West were really more willing to watch this. Like now, we've got like the Demon Slayer movie did really fantastic. The
Yeah.
Dragon Ball Broly movie did fucking phenomenal. Your Name was really
The
It's
My
'cause
Hero
everyone,
movies.
well received.
everyone who I guess is like only seen their kids watch anime, being like, those are cartoons, those are for kids. You know
Yep.
what I mean? Like they don't.
Yeah.
It's
They
like
don't
the
get
They're
it.
not
market,
going to go see a movie in
right.
the theater.
They're not
Yeah.
going to spend money to see that
Especially
movie.
if it's not
And-
in dub, which back then probably was
Right.
not in dub.
No.
Yeah.
And the market is like, especially like 2002, the market was just absolute shit. You
Yeah.
know,
I mean, shit. When
here.
I saw Your Name, I bought a ticket for the dub and I got the sub.
Yep.
If
Sure,
my ti-
Really?
my
sure
ticket-
got that
my ticket
like 3
said-
times.
My ticket said dub,
uh-huh.
and I was absolutely watching the Japanese
Yo,
version.
you bet that
Really?
I
Yeah.
convinced my parents to go see Your Name somehow. And I was like, I bought the dub tickets. You don't got to worry about it. And boy, was it in sub. And I was like, cool,
Yep.
shooting myself in the goddamn
Wow.
foot immediately.
Wait, and did your
Fucking-
parents watch it though?
yeah.
Fucking
How
Did
AMC.
they like
how did
it?
they think?
My dad was like, it's just Freaky Friday. And I was like,
Where is Lindsay Lohan?
yeah, my mom didn't like it.
Oh.
So like, I think my sister also went. She was like, music
No,
was good.
I thought Your Name was so good.
Oh,
That's
Your
one of
Name's
my
a
favorite-
fucking-
one of my
I
favorite
saw
movies.
Your Name in theaters like 7 times, and 3 of them when I bought the dub were subbed. So I was like,
Right.
all right, cool. All right, well, fuck me, I guess.
Could have
Damn.
nothing nice.
Yeah, but no, Your Name's fucking great, dude.
Your Name
One
is
of my
so
favorite
good.
movies. Yeah.
One of my favorite movies
yeah,
too.
absolutely.
Yeah,
Up
it's,
there.
I think it's in my top 5, probably.
You laughing at us?
No, I just hiccuped.
I was shaking my head at her.
But
Laughing at us.
anyway,
But yeah, Ghost of the Shell 2, definitely a movie that the director was working some shit out with, and it's definitely a thing that you can tell.
Yeah.
Which I mean, I kind of appreciate that like an artist is like willing to like bare his soul like that, kinda, and just like kind of just like not, I don't know, like uniformly, but just kind of like list all like the shit he was thinking at the time, like the existential crises he was having, and just spend $20 million to make that, which
Right.
I think is like kind of baller if I'm being real, but like, it definitely suffers as like a movie, you know what I mean? And like, cause like it is just a lot of people talking in just very abstract quotes for like an
Yeah.
hour and a half, with like the occasional action sequence, which the 2 action sequences in that movie
We're slamming.
are so
Fucking
when
fucking
they go
good.
into the like Yakuza, like
oh my god.
I don't know if you call it their headquarters or like
Hideout.
their little
we're
hideout.
not gonna do anything like. We're not gonna like shoot them or anything.
You're right.
right?
Sure.
I'll
Right.
try
No,
as
no,
hard.
no, yeah, I'll try my best.
I'll try as hard as
Yeah,
I
I
can
will
not
do
to
my
shoot them.
darndest.
Walks in.
The guy like starts to draw the sword. He's like, "What happened to not shooting them?" He's like, "I tried my best."
I tried my best,
Yeah.
dude. Like I don't know. What you're
Also,
laughing
okay,
at.
I brought this up earlier. Did that parade scene have a context? I might just be forgetting. But was there something that happened to have that parade scene in the movie?
I think it was just like a cultural showcase kind of thing.
But like, did it have any impact?
I think
on
it's
the
to
story?
show. I think it's to show like the differences between the worlds that they're from. Because like when you're in Neo Japan, it's like there's not really anything like that.
Wait,
it's more
wasn't
akin.
right before
it's
the
more-
parade scene? They were in like the helicopter or plane or whatever.
Yeah.
And he's like,
He's
this is,
explaining
like,
what
a
the place was.
Yeah, like essentially just like this wasteland of like technology that got I guess like outdated.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
and it's just
yeah.
here.
But
Yeah,
it was
so
just
what
like
I-
I remember that parade scene coming up, and at least in my memory at the moment, is just like, did it have a context? I don't think it did.
I think it's to
Don't-
show. I think one, it's to show that like the different states of the world, like get to give context to other parts of the world. Because like in Neo Japan, right, you're in the most technologically advanced place in the world, right? Whereas in like outside of it, going up north as they did, they show you that they are more like grounded and have like a more significant
More
cultural attachment
traditions.
to like their roots and stuff like that, which is what I think the parade scene was all about.
Yeah.
Personally, I don't know. There could be many interpretations for it, but
Do you think it's also a thing of like just more human? Because
Oh,
I feel
yeah,
like
for
that's
sure.
a very human
Oh,
thing
yeah,
to do. Of
absolutely.
like have
Celebrate
these
tradition?
Yeah,
yeah.
the traditions and like the giant floats, and it's like very extravagant and like eye catching
Yeah.
kind of a thing.
Plus,
where,
I think if you look in the crowd of like the parade goers, like you can see a lot of them don't have any cybernetic enhancements.
right, it's like a lot
At
of
least
like
not visible.
At least not visibly. Yeah.
right.
So I think that's like what the parade scene was about. Personally, and it's my interpretation of
I
it.
liked it.
I like
Yeah.
it too.
I mean, yeah, visually it was like interesting.
Spectacular.
I just was like in my brain, I couldn't remember if it was there or like it could have been cut and nothing changed.
I don't know. Sometimes I like scenes like that because it's just doing the world building. It's just kind of
Oh, yeah.
showing what's going on besides this plot, where we are.
A movie like a series like Ghost in the Shell really like lends itself to a lot of world building
Mm-hmm.
and stuff like that is just what I feel like contextualizes a lot of it, which is what I appreciate about it.
Yeah, and
So-
it's not like it was so long that it's drawing from the movie.
Mm-mm.
I also like it because it's kind of like it's a nice little breather.
Yes.
because it's like
Oh, yeah.
right in the middle
From
of
all the
movie.
heady shit
Yeah,
that you've been
right in the
exposed
middle
to for
of
the past
movie.
hour and a half.
I've just been getting like an entire like college thesis
Yeah.
about like the human condition, and I'm like, oh my god, this is a lot. And then
Yeah.
I just get this nice little breather of a parade,
Also,
and
I
then we
always
just
find
go
it
right
funny-
back into it.
I always find it funny that like future parades for some reason always have a hologram koi. Have you ever realized that? Like it shows up? I can at least think of in that movie. It's in Cyberpunk. It's in Blade Runner. I think the newer one. I think there's like a hologram koi in like a thing. Like I find it weird that that's like a weird through line that just for some reason in whatever future has holograms, they're like koi.
It
Yes.
could just be like consistent homage too. You know what I mean?
It
Like,
could be.
Maybe they just
I find that
like
so
how,
funny. That's so
how
cool.
it looks.
Yeah. Maybe.
I mean, it
so-
does look cool as hell.
Yeah,
too.
every time that becomes invented, somebody's like, you know what would look rad in this? A koi.
a koi, but like a hologram.
Yeah.
So I want to ask you guys a question about the second movie. What did you guys think of Motoko's involvement in it?
I was actually sorry. I just cut off everyone. But anyway.
Nobody was
cut off
talking.
anybody if nobody
Yeah.
Nobody
spoke.
spoke a word. Sage, you're good.
I was wondering.
So anyway,
I was wondering.
Well, my opinion on it.
I was wondering if they were going to involve her because at the beginning, like when they're talking about like, oh, she's still listed as a missing person, right? And then he's like, I've just accepted the fact that she's gone, like she's in the ether type deal, right? So I was like, you know what? I like that. That's good, like closure for him, like because I felt like a lot of the movie was him being like kind of off kilter and he like didn't know how to accept that she was gone and like he wanted her to like physically exist, I guess.
Yeah.
So I like that part where I was like, oh, okay, that's nice. And then they're like killing the dolls, and then she's just one of the dolls, and I was like, I don't know that I needed that. And then she goes and she's like, hacker voice, I'm in. You know, it just it felt weird to
Right.
have the whole story be Bato and the other guy, and them doing detective work and figuring out this whole like situation going on, and then them getting to the ship doing that whole plan, and then he's going in, he's doing all his side, and his partner is like doing his end like on the computer and stuff, and then for her to essentially I guess like save the day, it just felt a little strange. Like
it didn't feel like her involvement was needed.
right, it feels like it cuts off like Bato's progression because he, you know, like she was only there for like the last 15 minutes.
Yeah,
and I,
I
was
felt
like
like
this
it
is
was
kinda
really
weird.
underwhelming.
She's in 2 scenes in the whole movie.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it felt like she was not necessary to be there. Like you could have just had her not there and have whoever else have done that, and it would have
I think
changed
if they
nothing.
had it where like in the scene where he's in the convenience store and you hear her voice in his ghost of like, oh, you just entered the kill zone, right? If they had done something similar to that of like her voice again, kind of a thing,
Kind of like playing with like, is she here? Is she not? kind of
Right.
thing.
That would've been
but
much
I don't-
stronger.
yeah, I don't think there needed to be like a physical manifestation of her.
Mhm.
You know,
Yeah.
Um,
I kind of think you can. They can get away with that a little bit because at the end of the first movie, she's like, "I'll always be your guardian angel,"
right?
and she lives up to that promise.
So I
feel
think
like that's
she
like
could have
kinda
done
she's
it
I don't
through the
think they-
subtle ways,
I
and it
don't
would have
think
been more
they needed
impactful.
to take it so
Okay.
literal because like when they're going when they're in the mansion and it's like, oh, good things happen in threes and but also bad things happen in threes, right? And they figure out they're in that like
the loop.
and he sees her like in the child body with the cards and stuff and then the little dog, and then he sees her again and then he doesn't see her in the last one, and he's like, oh, it was my guardian angel, right? Like we know she was not physically there,
Mm-hmm.
right? So I think that's the way they did that was good, and with the voice was also really strong. So
Well,
then
yeah,
to-
she technically was there because she was inside Bato at
Right,
that point.
right,
Yeah, she was
but-
like
but-
making him see the.
but you know what I mean? I don't mean
Yeah.
like
No, they were like physically, like as a like
yeah. So I
flesh
think
and
if they
blood, yeah.
kept it more of like a mental kind of in your brain
Right. I see what you're saying.
type deal, opposed to like physically having her there interacting with him. Although I did like the touch where he puts like his vest on her.
I wish that,
That was very cute, very
yeah, and
cute,
she was
very
just
good.
like, oh, you're the same.
Yeah.
I kind of wish that she was in it more. It felt underwhelming, like at the end for that to happen, because obviously the whole time I was like, expecting it. You're like, there's no way she's just not in this movie. And then kind of what Sage was saying, like I felt like I came to terms. I was like, all right, maybe she's not. Like, okay, that's fine. And then that happened, and then I felt like it wasn't that strong. So I agree with that.
No, see, personally, I actually really liked the amount that she was in it. because she was like, I am your guardian angel, I'll always be there. And in the beginning, when she's just that voice, you've entered the kill zone. It's like, okay, so she's there, but she's not there. And then it's later showing like she has this now. She's like the ultimate AI, so to speak, if you want to go that route of like she can enter this robot body and help him, and then say, okay, well,
Peace,
limp
peace
body.
the fuck out,
deuces.
and then
Yeah.
fall over and be gone back into the internet. And I actually liked how that went down.
I don't know. I feel like that creates a slippery slope.
Yeah, I think
For like
I
a
think it
Ex
would have been.
Machina
It's a
type deal.
slippery slope, but it's also 2 movies, and it happened once.
I guess that's fair.
Yeah, but I think it would have been much more interesting if it was just those subtle nods of helping than her actually just showing up. I think because it makes what is the setup from the last movie of her being like, you ain't gonna really see me, but hey, I'll help you. And like her subtly helping him to then what feels like almost like a Deus Ex Machina in a way, which she kind of is, like literally.
Yeah.
But like in the sense that then she just shows up and solves the problem, and it's like, I feel like it would have been nicer if you just left it at the subtle
In
hints.
con-
Maybe give him
But
another
in
hint at
contrast
the
to
end and have saved her.
In contrast to
Saved
that, I think it was more. I think it shows that she's still human. She has that human aspect of she wants to show up and help. She wants to be there and help her friend, her fucking partner. She has this bond with this guy. She wants to make sure he's okay.
I guess that's fair.
Yeah, I agree with Colin. I think that scene was necessary after kind of teasing it after a whole long time, and then she kind of appears. And I also agree with you about the Ex Machina thing, or the Deus Ex Machina thing, because if this series did continue,
Right.
in this timeline, if they made a Ghost in the Shell 3, right, I could see that being like an incredibly like lazy way to
But-
like
Now
write
there's
the
like
Bato always
100
survives.
of her in these
But I
bodies.
also,
Yeah,
I
exactly.
also
But we never
think,
got to
like,
that point, so
the
it
Deus
didn't
Ex
feel like
Machina
Yeah, we never got to that
ending
point.
Is they kind of like tell you that that's what's going to happen because of the number of times where they're like, oh, we in all of their quoting when they're constantly talking about like, oh, but they disregarded the like man out of the machine type deal thing, blah blah blah, and all this stuff, and you just see it like in glimpses, in like different shots of it, like books or stuff, or like a poster or something where it says it, so it makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Because they keep putting it in front of your face.
Yeah, but with like standalone Complex and Arise and all that shit, like the Puppet Master like storyline is completely thrown out the window. She's not.
Bye.
Yeah, she's not like in part of the
Existential
ether or whatever.
questions? Nah, fuck that.
No, I mean they still do have like the philosophical like implications and stuff like that, but like the
Just
like
without
her
him.
her becoming the internet doesn't happen. Like
Right.
she
Yeah.
like standalone Complex is like a case of the week type show where there's like a new crime they have to
Right.
solve every week, and occasionally Bato and Motoko will be like, "Is God real?"
Just me casually having
No,
drinks
it's
with my
not real.
mother.
Oh,
Yeah, I have that conversation with Kieran every time we drive anywhere. Just like, hey, man, God real? And both of us are like, no.
I have a question about standalone Complex because I don't think I probably only watched like random episodes on Toonami, but I never watched it like all the way through. They never get together, right?
Bless you.
Get together?
Like Bato and Major.
Don't
Like romantically?
Yeah, I don't want that.
I
Personally.
don't want it
wouldn't
either.
want that.
Personally, I wouldn't want it. I don't remember.
Doesn't feel
Oh.
It's
right.
been a long time.
Does,
since I've
I
seen
mean,
standalone
well,
Complex.
all right. So I did have this question, and I guess this is a great way to. The only way I could have segued into it was in the beginning when you see her getting built. She gets titties,
Right.
right? You know that she, but
Oh, here we fucking-
I don't think they give her
I
a
was
vagina.
wondering
right.
how
my
long
my
it would
point is,
take
do you
for
think
something like this
that
to
they
come up.
gave?
I'm
her-
Approximately
honestly,
82
I
minutes
know.
into the fucking
I'm
episode.
really
Yeah.
surprised
Can
with
I
the
finish
end.
my thought?
Wait,
God.
go ahead, and
I
then I
have
have
an
a
answer to your
question.
question.
I was gonna
He
say.
hasn't asked it
I
yet.
know, but I was saying that you see that like it's smooth, but is it just because censoring or is it actually smooth?
I have
hate it
an.
here.
I think I have an.
fucking
I
hate
think
it
I
here.
have an answer to your question.
Okay.
The entire
Because
movie is
in-
about not sexualizing Motoko.
Correct.
And
I'm
the
not
first
here to
thing you
sexualize
do
her. No.
is
No,
sexualize
no.
Motoko.
It's actually
I am
the
not
last
here-
thing
But
he
I
did.
have an
It's
answer.
not here to be
I have an
sexualization. I just need
answer.
to know if she has it or
Because
not.
in the second one, when they're talking about the like pet dolls that you can have, right? The
sex bots?
right. They're saying that they gave them like unnecessary functions.
Yeah, like pussies.
Exactly.
But
And
here's
then
the
they're
question.
but they're talking about how like most
Whoa.
like android bodies that you get out there, they're not gonna have them because they don't need them. They're totally worthless, right?
Yeah, because sex bots are illegal.
No, they said it's not illegal.
It's not
Yeah,
illegal.
it's
No,
not-
they said it's like
they
an
said-
under the table type thing, right?
No, they
It-
said it's not. It's
not illegal, but
nobody
nobody-
wants to
it's
brag
judged.
about
Yeah.
it.
Oh,
Right, you
yeah.
don't want to be like, oh yeah, I got a fucking.
So like
sex
actually
bot.
owning
Yeah.
a sex doll,
Right,
yeah.
It's
Right.
not illegal, but like
Are
you,
you-
don't want
are
to go
you
around telling your buds you have a sex
Yeah.
Are
doll.
you bragging about your real doll?
No, I don't have one.
No.
Her name's Christy. Anyway,
Anyway,
You should
no,
put
no.
Brenda
Here's
in my car
real
right
question.
now.
Real question.
Okay,
real,
for the
re-
song, just in case
wait.
I need
Real
someone to
question
go.
to Mike and Sage. To Mike and Sage. Is the off button in her pussy?
oh my
Which show was
God.
that?
Chobits.
Yeah. Jesus
So
Christ.
you're saying no?
I don't think so.
I don't think so
Yeah,
either.
because when I was watching it, I was like, okay, so do you think it's a censorship thing, or do you think it's actually not
No,
there?
I think it's
and I
actually
don't
not
think
there.
it's there
Your
either.
mom?
But what?
What did you just say?
When I was watching it with Kieran, and he was like, it's
I thought you
probably just
said
not
I asked
there.
my mom.
Yeah, 100%.
I asked my mom.
Oh, it's my mom was like,
her
here, watch
opinion.
this
My
scene. Now,
mom
do you
that
think
hated
she has-
your
yeah.
name, I
Yeah.
asked her about
Mom, do you think
Moko's
this chick has
pussy,
a pussy?
if it's there.
But yeah, I also thought probably it's just not there. But I was just curious if it was like a censorship thing or not.
No, I
But,
feel like
yeah.
it would make sense for it to not be there.
Yeah.
But then
Yeah.
She
why
doesn't
give
feel
the
But
sexual.
I was
why
gonna
give
say,
the
why
nipples?
did? Yeah. What's up with the boobs?
Aesthetic.
But then,
Aesthetic.
But,
You gotta-
I guess.
You got
Kieran-
you got
Kieran-
distraction.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
Kieran
yeah.
brought
If
that
you're
up. He
gonna
was like,
make
it's a
her
distraction thing of like a
feminine robot.
yeah.
Like you're not.
You
I
need the
think
sex appeal for someone to be
makes
drawn
more
in.
sense to distract with titties than whipping out your pussy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I guess
Oh.
so.
Oh my God.
On that note, I think we should get into final thoughts.
I agree.
And
God
I will start with that. Overall, I thought these were two like really fantastic sci-fi movies. It felt like I was just watching a standard sci-fi movie, not an animated one. I think they did a really good job of just like giving me a story. They did not spoon feed me, as I said. Like it was confusing through the first one, and I think that was a bit of a detriment to the more casual fan. But as someone who went in and watched that, and then the second one, which again is the reason I think I enjoyed the second one more, was because I had that understanding. And I even said to you, I was like, I think I got to go rewatch the first one just so I can go through it and know what they're saying.
Exactly.
It was a really good movie. It had like the good philosophical question, it had the good sci-fi aspect, and the visuals were phenomenal. And yeah, I'd absolutely recommend watching this.
And what are your ratings for the two?
Oh gosh! Now I have to do out of 10. I have to do out of 10. I don't even know out of 10. I would say around 8.5 for the both.
For both.
I'm gonna
For
say
both.
I'm just gonna put them together.
Oh, my ratings are different for both. So
You
that
can
doesn't
do- you
work.
can do-
You just
So
have to
am I.
put you
So
just
am
put
I.
up two graphics. Don't put them just one and then the other.
I'll do what I do.
Well, last time you didn't put any of them in, sir. Like
Sir.
5 times.
Nah,
Anyway,
I put it in.
um,
Just didn't like it.
'cause it wasn't- anyway, so I guess the first one I think visually I is a masterpiece, and although I question the story and their motives, I still think it's a very strong storytelling, and I think is just an interesting movie that everybody should watch. I gave it a 9 out of 10 the first time, and I'd probably still give it a 9 out of 10 even with my issues. Like visuals alone fucking make that movie worth it in general. The second movie I still think is just fine, like a 6 out of 10. It's fine. I mean, that's how that's how Mal labels it. 6 is fine. It's fine. It's a fine movie. I don't really like. I could not watch it again and be fine.
I guess that's fair.
Like it's it exists. But so yeah, probably a 6 out of 10. I would recommend the first one, no doubt. And if you like the second one and you did it again, sir.
Wonder why.
And then the second one, look, if you're looking for more Ghost in the Shell, go ahead, watch it. But like if if you think that whatever I said or didn't agree with any of their points, then I guess you could skip it. But if you want more Ghost in the Shell, it's worth watching. It's fucking an hour and a half.
Yeah, each one.
You're
is
not
They were both
wasting
hour and
much
a half.
time on it either way, even if you don't like it all that much. But it's at least a fine movie. The story's interesting. I wish they didn't quote things as much, but whatever. That's my thoughts.
Yeah. I would say I would give both a 9, but for different reasons. Like, I agree with Mike that on the first one, the visuals are just so stand out, so much detail, so much like texture and life and everything. And it has like so much iconic imagery in it that you can't not be like enamored with it. But for me, the story is just a little bit weaker. Whereas in 2, I think the visuals are definitely weaker, but I like the story a little bit more. You know what I mean? So I think they're both definitely a 9, though. Oh, and I would recommend watching them both.
So for me, these are not for me. I can appreciate them, but they're just not for me. Would I watch it again? No. Would I recommend it? No. Well, kind of. It depends. Like, if you have taste like me, if you've seen our other anime clubs and you see what things I like and don't like, and you're kind of on the same train, then I would say no. That doesn't mean that I don't recommend it for, like, anybody to watch, because obviously there are great ratings, like, about this. It's just not for me. So I guess in that aspect, I wouldn't recommend it, but I guess it's a borderline.
Yeah, I feel like that's fair though. Like,
That's fair.
People
That's totally
get, especially if they've watched others, they know our individual tastes.
Yeah.
And
Oh, yeah.
like, and also, you have not liked the last like 4 that we've chosen.
Yeah.
The
I
next
don't
one I
think- I
pick,
don't
I
think you're
swear
gonna-
to God, you'll like.
I don't think you're gonna like my pick either.
Why do you guys hate me?
I'm
Why
going-
do you guys hate me?
You're,
Oh my
you're
God.
weirdly very difficult to find an anime. that you
The
Apparently.
like.
next one I do, I'm picking specifically for you.
Wow, I feel
I
so
have
special.
no
You should.
idea if you'll like the one I have.
Oh my god. Well, at least after you, it's me. So
Yeah.
we'll
Yeah.
watch something
She's
I
gonna pick
There
something
we
that
go.
she hates also.
like.
This fucking sucks, dude.
I'm gonna make
We're
them
making you
all
all
watch.
watch it.
Well, I could go the handshakers
Yeah, you could do
route,
the
and I
handshakers route.
I could spite make people watch something.
Please, God, no, I can't do another
I definitely
handshake.
don't know what I'm picking, but I don't have to worry
You
about
watch
that
the
yet.
OG Tokyo Mew Mew, which is just really painful to get through.
No. Anyway.
But I'd give it like a 6.5 for like both of them. I did like the second one a little bit more. But I can also see why you guys like objectively and other people think that the second one is worse. But pacing wise and like watching them back to back, I think that the second one is a little bit tighter. So that's what I would say about it.
Okay, well, hi, I recommended this, so obviously I like it, and I would recommend it.
So I give it a 0.
I would
out of 10.
recommend it to people. Please watch this movie. Yeah, I mean, this is one of the movies that got me into wanting to be a filmmaker. So it's really near and dear to my heart. I love it so much. The second one I don't have as much of an affinity for, because I saw it at a later point when I was like kind of already into like the whole film thing. I saw it in college, but I still appreciated it for what it was. So I'd probably give the first one. I mean, the first one's a 10. Like no ifs, ands, or buts about it. It's one of the greatest movies ever made. Period. Like anime movies, obviously, but like movies, I think personally ever, yes. At least sci-fi movies. Its influence is undeniable, and its reach is almost all-encompassing. You can't see a single cyberpunk thing since Ghost in the Shell came out and not see like a little like strand of DNA of Ghost in the Shell in it. Like it's impossible. And the second one, while I think its visuals are a little dated now, and its story is a little unwieldy, I still think it's a worthy addition to like the whole canon of the whole thing. I like the philosophical like implications that it brings up. I think those are very interesting. I just wish it was told in a more engaging way rather than it being an essay, pretty much. And I think those action sequences are very, very good in that movie. I would say it's about like a 7 for me. Yeah, like a 7. And I would recommend you watch both. I would say though, like maybe after you watch the first one, like give it a little bit and then watch the second one because it is just way too much information overload. And if you're looking for more Ghost in the Shell, but like a little less like heavy on the philosophical shit and a little bit more leaning more into like the procedural like action kind of thing, I would recommend Standalone Complex. The series is very good. The OVAs are like okay, but they're still pretty good. And I would avoid Arise at all costs because that show fucking sucks.
And don't forget to go watch the live action movie.
Scarlett
All right.
Johansson.
I like the live action movie, but I know I'm like one of 5 people that do. So that is what it is.
All right. Well.
Anyway,
All right. Well, hey, that's our thoughts. And that's our final wrap up on that. Now, Sage,
Yeah.
what are we watching?
We're watching Terror and Resonance. I think it's only 11 episodes. It's a pretty quick watch.
Terran?
Terror.
Terror. Oh,
It's about terrorists.
and Resonance.
Terror Resonance.
It's about terrorists.
Yeah.
Is it really?
Yes.
Actually?
Yes.
For real?
No, I just said yes 3 times to trick you.
Again, are we getting? Is it full of best girls like the best girl in Future Diary, the terrorist from that?
You're telling me hot waifu
She
terrorists?
is not the
She is
best
the best girl.
I don't like
She
her.
is the best girl. I'm
No.
sorry.
It's
She is the
actually
best
No.
girl.
Terrorist is the best girl
No,
in that
she's
show.
so annoying.
You're telling me that we're gonna be seeing hot anime waifus as
probably
that's
not in
Future
that one,
Diary.
probably
Well,
not.
I mean, if
Okay.
you watch Code Geass, you can see Colin.
Oh, it's true.
you?
Yeah, Colin's in it, and he's
Yeah.
a hot anime wife.
Yeah,
Yeah,
hot
he's got
anime
big
waifu.
old bitties.
Big old
Sheesh, baby.
Tig ol'
Tiggle
bitties.
bitties.
Take old babies.
Actually,
yeah,
the
Zankyo
cast
no
is
Terror.
really
Can't get
is
enough.
pretty small actually, and I think there's only like one main female character that we follow.
Mm.
So
She hot.
she's all right.
Yeah, sure. All right.
I'm not. All right.
Passable.
Well, I'm not watching it. Screw it. I'm out. Podcast over.
Yeah,
All right. Well,
but I remember
synopsis.
very much enjoy. No, I can only tell you that it's about terrorists.
Okay.
Cool.
But and I remember really enjoying it when I first watched it, which is when it first came out.
Which is one?
I think 2012 question mark. That could be wrong.
2014.
2014. Thank you. I remember really enjoying it. I haven't rewatched it since, but it's always been like in the back of my mind as like I don't know, something about it just always stuck with me. I thought it was really good. So yeah.
And you said it's on Funimation.
Yes.
Looks
It's
like
on.
it is
It's,
on.
I was gonna
it's
say
on-
it's on Funimation, but it might by the time
Oh,
that
it
this
might
comes
be on
out, it might be on
Crunchyroll?
Crunchyroll. Who knows? The
It
merger
looks
is
like
currently going on.
It
so.
is on Hulu, Netflix, and
Okay, cool.
Funimation.
Oh, okay.
lit.
So you
Alright.
have options.
Yeah. If it's but who knows? By the time this comes out, maybe everything will be fucking on Crunchyroll. So,
It is
take it as you
11
will.
episodes, and the Japanese name is Zankyo no Terror.
Yes.
I'm
All
actually really upset about the Funimation Crunchyroll thing because I like Funimation's. I like watching on there better than Crunchyroll.
Really?
Well, you're
Yeah.
You're one of the
You
very
like
few
it?
alien.
people
Yeah.
because nobody likes Funimation's UI.
I don't like watching on Crunchyroll. I actively avoid it.
I actively
now
hate.
I-
I
now I have
actively
no
hate
choice.
I
watching
have to
things on
watch a show
Funimation.
on Funimation. I open up 2 tabs. One tab that has like the episodes, and then another tab where I want to click into.
Yeah, I do not
click
like the
the
Funimation.
arrow.
No,
There's an arrow.
there's no arrow. In
Yes,
Funimation,
there is. Yeah,
There's no.
On
you're
arrow.
just missing it
Anyway,
because I
on
literally
that
go to
note-
the next episode.
Anyway, point is that most people do
Whatever.
not like Funimation's thing, but hey, sorry then, I guess.
Yeah.
Hey, thanks for watching. Join us next week for whatever the fuck we talk about. Even though we know what we talk about, but I don't remember what.
I don't remember what we
talked
talked
Nah, man.
about.
A lot
This is
of
an
Batman.
anime podcast, right?
No.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Sometimes.
Yeah, I was at this.
Vaguely.
Vaguely.
Not usually.
Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. If you're listening to us on streaming, don't forget to follow, leave a review, and rate. Don't forget to check out Super Milkshake. Anthony at Super Milkshake on YouTube, and Kat at Kat the Moodstar on Twitch.
I should have a schedule by the time this comes up.
Hey,
Yeah.
yo.
Yeah.
Yeah, you'll be
nice.
able to find that on my page. I'll set it up for whatever the fuck I choose. I
All
don't
right,
know.
and you have 5 weeks to watch Terror in Resonance. Maybe by then we'll have a set. God, I
Yeah,
don't
who
fuck-
knows?
fucking
Who's to
knows.
say?
If we could ever get some furniture delivered here, that would be.
That would
great.
be.
And
That'd
and the table
I
I was
mean,
building would have been finished
They're
by
used
now,
to
but
this.
it fucking broke.
Just
Yeah,
minus
came
some
in,
ugly
so-
couches in the back.
That's
so.
true.
Yeah, but
Those couches
anyway.
were awesome.
Ugly. I hope you didn't keep them.
So comfy. They're gone.
Oh,
Good.
alright, cool.
They should be.
Anyway,
On that,
thanks
I'm
for
gone.
watching. Join us next week, and we will see you guys then.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.